So like we like do whatever we do like that.
All right. Well, I hope you guys end up making.
Hey.
Saw out of them whenever they did become champions. Now we're talking with teams that are in 15th place. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the other teams, right? Teams that are currently in the top 3, teams that are going to have to continue to perform really well if they want to get a chance at being able to be on the top there, as I'm actually passing by Alter Ego. There you go. Thanks, boys. That's a team that definitely needs to pick it up a little bit more. But going back to top 3, I have none other than ASIA with me. You guys have been performing so well the past 2 days. What are you guys going to continue to do to make sure you stay within the top 3?
Hello. First of all, thank you for having me here.
What's up?
We have second highest kills till now. So yeah, we will go for kills again. Yeah. Actually, it all depends on the situation, the zone. If the zone is far, then we'll go for kills. Like, I believe my IGL's decision and the coordination of our players that they will manage the things accordingly.
Well, hopefully they will manage everything accordingly, and hopefully you guys will maintain that top 3 and get a straight ticket to the Grand Finals in London. Thank you so much, Trinda. Let's get started with Day 3 of Group Red.
You know, I'm going to have to go in a little bit on the IHC interview, saying they don't feel any pressure right now to perform considering they're the reigning PMGC champions. Bro, I guess he's technically right, because they definitely played this year out as if they had absolutely zero pressure and expectations on them, because they have not been good. They've not been good. Their results have not been good. However, they can obviously still qualify here and get through the grand finals or get through into the survival stage. We'll see what will happen at the end of tomorrow, since we still have 2 days of action left. Just Cap and joined once again by Hot Jukes and Maxman, as we're going to break down yesterday's play. And let's start things off with you, Hot Jukes. Yesterday, what was the big standout team for you?
Well, the big standout team, obviously, IWNRX. These guys just shredded the whole lobby, but it's not just the team. It's also the player, dude. I was looking at the stats. Z-Wolf on top, obviously, right? 27 eliminations in just 2 days. The dude did over 6,000 damage. That's absolutely insane. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. So whenever you have at least one standout player like that, I mean, of course, you're going to be on top.
Max, what about you? What was the standout team? Do you agree? I mean, obviously.
I was going to say IWNRX. Can I use it? I guess not. I'll go Nigma Galaxy, let's say, right now. Again, we mentioned it many times how the IGLing style has changed significantly from the spring season going into the fall season. This is the most aggressive the Nigma Galaxy roster has ever looked, realistically. That to happen here going into PMGC is absolutely perfect timing. So right now, IWNRX are the 2 most aggressive teams in this lobby, and currently the 2 teams that you want to take down absolutely going into today to make a spot.
Yeah, that aggressivity being shared between the 2 teams. I want to talk about actually Vengeance, the team coming in from Japan, who we kind of had a day yesterday, considering all things. They're able to, push through in the top 11. It seems like their style, though, yesterday, was more about looking for those eliminations.
They play it very quietly. At first, I thought it was just like I thought it was a much better strategy than what I saw, because sometimes you see the team and they play.
Hey, AE, Alter Ego, Oma, Groy, Face, Navi, NGX, WNRX itu kasabak lawa, VP, INS, Falcon, AS, I8, ni om tak ni hey. Saudi Arabia lampangan ni, Korea, Brazil, TQ, TJB, Tianpa, Ven, IHG nama. Keju tadi kan jom Falcon hi ka tranda uber ya. Kantrang en ang lau thup don ni mo.
Super quiet. Like they got a bit no, chicken dinner, they failed the 1v2.
Pakat na te China ho ki kill san mahan nga rem ve IWNRX ho chu placement point la ro chuan nga lu tuk lo Saudi Arabia lampang pui man khel thove ase placement point ro nga lu tuk lo ni finish point a 72 turu hem ve second dinner ve khat ma an nei lawa chu de jong chuan in placement point le skill point satangin pakhat na din mun ron in ngatlat mai kan chan dei tang
The final play of Vengeance, wrong positions quite could be.
The top of the table with 0 chicken dinners and having 35 placement points. They're 10 placement points behind Enigma Galaxy, and Enigma Galaxy have 2 chicken dinners. Like that's insane.
I don't know what to say about IWNRX. We knew they were just absolute fragging machines.
an bottom team ho te hi rong khel ve chin se daro
Z-Wolf, if he pretty much has the same kind of result as day 1, day 2 in terms of fragging potential, in terms of total elims, he could be maybe even overtaking Nomi's current record in week 1
tu te mo
yellow in terms of
targi ni lo mi ti
so he is on track to beat Nomi, so we'll see if he can do it. But yeah, Z-Wolf is the absolute package as a fragger, and this guy, he's going to 1v4 at some point, Jason. It's going to happen. Just check it out.
Well, I'm getting a little bit worried looking at our leaderboards down towards the bottom. IHC and Furia just extremely far out of reach the top 11 at the moment. You can see there's a 20-point gap between 14th and 15th place.
far so ha
If they want to get top 11, extremely
China
This guy,
China bogati sorry
I don't know what's been going on.
tarki zo lo ni hey fleck hi gan chiang mo sorry my bad
And it's so brutal to watch because during PMSL, the team was such a strong squad. They had so much potential.
Sanhok
Just to give you an example of how rough
era mira
this team in past 2 days
hey
have done
i shit reng dur zo i host reng zo ni Sanhok map te ho te an host ma satla puita ni ngo achan zo mizo le vai ang at pejon screen sang at pejon in map te hi atop bera awm jonin an pok poras vak zel ta ni chu wang jonin map te weekend di Sanhok te de ju first amo second a host nge do last match a host ji ni lo
if you want to be able to make a way into at least the survival stage, the bottom teams are going to struggle to reach the top 3. They need to step it up big time. Actually, we know what they did.
Baton an baton team baton ni lo baton lo baton ni lo bro whiskey it's not baton.
And the fact that they are looking so passive now is just such a surprise to me. So go back to what was working last year. Go back to completely destroying teams in the lobby, and you might be able to.
Tu nai hinin Sabrina le kemi ka shil towa an apply to in ka shia mo weekend di le Sanhok hi last map a host to loin mita an host to ta look guys man ka thau si len
PMGC 2024 is the Infinix GT20 Pro, which
ka thau si len chunga
on screen right now. It's 120 FPS and 144 hertz AMOLED screen. I knew he had it there. I knew he was going to be there. And Hotchix still looking at it as if like, oh, come on.
There you go,
where's mine? Give me one. Well, Hotchix, I heard there is a way you potentially could get one.
ka thau si len chunga ang lo ka mutat mai thau si ka mutat mai ka vai lok guys ka vai lo ang ka thau si len chunga
You guys can go follow all the official channels for pushing mobile. I don't know where I was going with this. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you follow us, you're not gonna get a big GT20 Pro. I'll just tell you that right now. It's a little disclaimer. But it could help. You never know. You never know. Say also, please. You guys can still say please, $20. There's also some tickets available still for PMGC Grand Finals over in the UK on the 6th to 8th of December. You can go there. You can potentially meet some of the players. You can participate in some activities. Watch the amazing games that are going to be happening. Not to mention, you get some sweet draws with as well. So make sure you guys pick those up if you're in the area, or even if you're not in the area, do it anyways. Come see everything.
Nizan Sabrina ka ka tingai ilu hale me wa nizan ha ka man lo wa
Probably not, but we'll see if it can bounce back today. I don't know, I'm hammering on them so hard. It's just so weird for me to see like S2G have a downfall after winning PMGC, IHC having a downfall after winning PMGC. The only team to not have a downfall after winning PMGC was Nova, because they did it back.
That's true.
I don't know that favor la me la pen khang lang zui
We're talking on SGG and IHC, but it's true right now.
You did tell me one of the most disliked teams from you is S2G, right? I'm kidding. I'm just trying to bait him.
I was like, did I? Wait, I don't remember.
2020 PMGC champion he IHC he ma ka type solve ve lo sorry sir thil ala vuk le la spicy 3x na ke da ka long la yang ron ai ka tum spicy 3x mo
I'm curious if you guys
surface game don lo mi ka face game chonin comments ka cheer thei don lo wa
Falcons, to be honest. I mean, they've done okay. they're into survival stage at the moment, but they're not the Falcons that I remember, and they
It
haven't
hindrim
taken stride. I would say even
Mel and Kanin Tindrim Pui Tlak Tindrim Pui Jinilo Anti Sual Sino Cắt tìm mấy ha ta tiếng vel du lâu Tindrim chiếm rùa cái này to lâu cắn lâu anh lâu senior về to mo baga an idol ta an pen về này mấy à
on those teams like TJB and the squad on the west. But right now, outside of those wins, Jason, I'm not really seeing too much from them. I'm not seeing these big flashy games. And the thing is, when you're looking at your IWNRX, your Enigma Galaxy, your
Marvel I local tree them.
so focused on getting
Roncal vezo zo
every game.
Marvel lama bike sil tur velin
So right now, Falcons, I would say,
khel ve do mati
we know what they can do.
nakida na khel ya
Emphasis on making it to the late game. I want to see some more top 5s, top 4s, top 3s, and if that happens,
nakida na khel ve do
the
ne
eliminations are just going to come rolling right in.
Absolutely, yeah. You know what? Speaking of a team like I8, right? We're about to go into Sanhok here. That's what we heard. You know, Seven talked to them and say that was their best map, and it's so crazy. You can just look and just see how well they performed.
70 ke special
right there, 3,344 damage.
PC lo ko ro aview lu tu enge PC
They did 7.
khoi lam pang PC ma
The second day, they ended up even doing better.
electric van chuk thla kha e
Eliminations there. So if these guys could just continue
A7i ASI8 an chazo
for the rest of the day.
For Aya in particular, and Jason, is quite interesting when looking back to what was happening back in CSA. Falak was the top frag of the team. It was completely undeniable. Falak was the top player in terms of elims for the team. That was it.
Marvel a PC om na lam ba shimi lo
Actually, IQ, as of right now, on day 2, is out-fragging Falak.
Sunset
He's
Vel
currently
nom
up
do
to,
me Sunset Vel
22 for IQ and 20 for Falak. So IQ is the second top fragger behind Z-Wolf because everyone's behind Z-Wolf at this point. But currently IQ up there with Falak, that is just strengthening the fragging potential of this squad so much more in this game that they can just weather the storm in this lobby and be in top 3. And realistically, with the way they're playing, I think they're going to stay top 3 for a long period of time because that consistency is to be feared.
What worries me about them, if you look at our top 8 teams,
han ven di
they
bon
have
server
the least
I had serious
amount
ve jo
of placement points outside of chicken dinners, except for TJB. TJB have 7, they have 12.
Yes.
They're stacked on eliminations, which
kar kon
obviously
khai him
it's not
ni
bad,
le
whatever, right? If you can frag out
Ni
here,
lo
you're
pon
proving you can easily beat
ven
these teams
chak.
when it comes to this close quarter combats or whatever kind of combat you're
Da
throwing off. But
chiang
what I worry
mi lo.
about for them is the consistency of placement points.
he da ve ve te in lam pa tlan phei tlan chau kha mi tlang lam pa
I think
han
we could agree on that,
ve ve
Joseph,
te
it
lam
could
pa
be an
han
issue, but as of right now,
ngi
I'd
chu
say
pe ni
this
dong
playstyle's
dong
working
ve thai
great,
rim rim
and I think they can remain in top 3 thanks to it.
Yeah, it's working out perfectly for them right now. But that's the thing is like I mentioned it yesterday is we
cái chu
constantly see
mi
them
ka
have
pen vel du
forward
to lo
jumping play style. Like we see them pop off with crazy elimination.
mà se mi
and
ka
get
pen
to the
chuanin
game, or it's
ka
nothing,
pen skin
right?
moi lu
And,
tu wanga
I think
pen
it's
chak
kind
ang
of
vel kha kan
like
ni don ta mo
be a little bit more
kan tiang vel wang zo khanin
see them, I think, up in that top 2.
pen pa ngai kan ni chuanin ka tin chi khan a free chon pen ka du chan chu khami kill feed le ha amoi wang khanin ka pen du ta mo
4 limbs, 10, 4, 9. So like they are still racking points on their bad games, and we mentioned it many times. Your bad games are very important to see if you can stay relevant in a group. As of right now, that is the case for I8. So right now, as you said, Jason, if they can get more placement points, that would be a big positive. But the elims alone currently.
again ala kal tu ni chu
You always want to try and get
PMWC
more.
PMSL America champion kha
They can work on their
ASI8
placement points.
I
This
an
Pubg,
khet se zok
which
thei lo shim shim
surprises me to say, a CCT, a championship caliber team. As we're
Sanhok,
gonna dive
let's
into
go.
Sanhok, our first map of the day. We're gonna find out at the end of the day.
le kan tron zong kan tron team hing te khal han soi chur chur tau ka face game du em ba se ka face game chon live set ken thei don lo ka ti kho
Take it away.
chu ting chunga face game tu ra min du ni chuan ka face game thei a
Here with something to prove today here in Group Red, and we'll see who is going to step up to the mark and who's going to be left by the wayside. Playing path cuts through the middle, nothing really special.
live set chelo me la face game me ro in ti in chuan ka face game thei reng ani ti kha kan soi ni
Finally extricate themselves from one another.
Yeah, I think honestly, for a lot of our games, it has been teams being fairly okay, fairly safe here on Sanhok. There has
Anti
been
feel
maybe one or
ma hai
two
fie ber jong
even
en
through
English
early. I actually think that our Miramars have been a lot hotter than our Sanhok so far, which is a weird sentence to throw out here in day 3 of Group Red. But yeah, very, very exciting stuff that we're getting to watch here, because we do have a lot of teams who are streaking out towards that top side. Yesterday, unfortunately, on Miramar, it was awkward. It was awkward, John.
Virtus Pro, what is this drop? They're normally all the way over in Pi 9.
face ho chu
Down to Camp Charlie.
an tlak dan hi an rospot hi aneng lo ni mo
Well, We'll see. We'll see
Anh
what
thả cái này
they
vô.
get up to. I don't think this is too out of the ordinary for Virtus Pro to try and take
Falcon hơi tiền lắc lại.
a split like this. You're right that they usually play in behind them.
I
But
see.
they've not been finding a lot of success. And to be fair, for Virtus Pro, they got to make some special
Thế là
moves
bà
to
zo
make
nó
some
ổn lại
special
tao này
plays
he.
going forward because they are far behind the rest of PMSL, EMEA inside of this lobby. But we know Virtus Pro is that team that is great on those last 2 days. Well, that's where they turn up the heat. But we have some really consistent teams at the top. So it's going to be tough for Virtus Pro to catch up to them. But if you can get a good start here over on Sanhok, that might be the game that you need. But you can see they're currently in 14th place with 53 points. Probably one of the final teams that I would say that has that chance today to get themselves into a secure position for survival stage.
Drop split thế.
I see Inferior at 33 points to 28.
Navi.
Today's got to be really good, both these teams, just to even have a shot at staying in the conversation.
We saw the circle pockets going up northwest flank, and of course we remember what Alter Ego were able to do atop the mountain last time.
Cái team trên hi
Falling over the surrounding terrain. We're going to be seeing if they
Falcon có
can
trận nào
get
cái
back up to their compound in the foothills of that. And
mà
will
sẽ tụi nó
see a return
pakat
to
na hầu hi
west
anh
compound
kêu
complex.
chắc
So
có
I
mấy
think TJ
IW
taking the
NRX
fight.
sau
I
hi.
don't remember who the other team was in that instance, but it didn't go well for Team Queso, I believe, in that spot. A lot of early rotates came through last time.
Face game lỗ bên on thì Juan.
Yeah, for Tongjiabao, they actually got themselves that chicken dinner yesterday on Sanhok. And for Alter Ego, although I enjoyed like some of that control they showed on the high ground, it definitely felt like sand slipping through the fingers in those final like 5 minutes for
Lâu comment bạ về thế là nè căn comment bạ về thế là live set chill là win căn face game nga live set chill là căn face game nga mo chuan in game mà rõ về lại face game căn thì to pa nga chuan live set căn chill về zok nga tro chu chuan nó chặt zok varing về thì chuan thì zok oh guys man live face game là căn set lúc nghe chu chuan han thì dọc tiếng tu nào cho nên comment bạ về lấy là face game bay
83 points to 85 for ASI 8 currently to Na'Vi. I think both these teams are pretty equally skilled at the moment.
Ring động mấy thế thế mình ăn thì rồi để shut down nè 7 về lại hiện anh đã đó nè thì khán mà hay cả lỗ cho bục lá mà hay ulu bục à anh mày ngon yeah khề lắng đôi anh chăm ha thấy khóc mày zone anh start anh chơi chơi này à I wonder how, I wonder why. Sao còn hậu bộ USG chuẩn này mà sẽ I useless đó này. Tăng lắm bằng ạ.
I think they're going to try and see if they can scout over towards that north side and see what's happening between teams that have already made their way in.
Cái lắm bằng tăng lắm bằng bộ hiền in rotation chu hai lần thì về thâu anh mà đi bộ hiền in. Cái lắm tăng lắm bằng khi bao. Cái lắm bằng tăng lắm bằng trong áp bộ rotate thì hết về để thùng em. Hết các bạn đứng đầu về Akil cho kill lên đó nè.
Down towards Camp Charlie and Sarmi. So the eastern side is quite populated, which means there's more space for teams to play over towards that northwest edge. I think in a lot of lobbies recently, more and more teams have decided that playing around boot camp and kind of surround that area does actually give you a lot more control to siphon off players from other teams.
Anh split này mà face sau tru tru in. Knock vậy rồi.
A lot of times, even sometimes at the cost of DXAV's performance themselves, but this time around no one really pushing into the north side, and the Falcons definitely are having an easier time of getting across this water than Team Spirit did.
Action.
That's good news
Top.
for Falcons Source.
Top hi frag thầy réo vậy rồi guys.
As it seems like they will once more
Universal top fragger.
in the northwest side. Vengeance, they're a little bit behind.
Vengeance.
Back of the queue here, behind both Enigma Galaxy and TJB on the wait to get across this bridge, because Na'Vi, they're still holding quite far south flank.
Yeah, I think Na'Vi playing on this southwest side is not a bad idea either. I think it gives you options to rotate over towards the northwest side of the map, which is smart. It's one of those things where for Na'Vi,
107 points on score đó.
this will give you a fair amount of opportunity
Tú mình lắc
in
chỉ
the
là
near
nông nào.
future, whilst
Tan
also
chỉ lên ha.
that ability to
Anh
scout
hùa.
out to the
Cái
south
tiếng
side,
cả
which
lỗ
is very
lùa.
important to keep
Cặp
notes
chơi.
on when teams start to flow on through, because there is several priority compounds down towards the south side of this island, and Na'Vi wants to make sure that they have
Anh em push mấy một khúc
when
mày.
it comes to it. Yeah, more and more of our squads now
DJ
moving out.
Beast.
Tiamba, we wanted to see more
Tiamba.
from this team, but 9th place right now on 68 points from what was a good start on day one is a little bit disappointing. So both of our PAL teams, and Tiamba as well as Pubg, not quite hitting the mark.
Đây vừa cho thằng khéo thoải mái sẽ. Đi về lần xoay đi. Chút tiếng về cho nên xoay đi. Knock đó em. Knock out lết. Person reveal lết. Person reveal anh tán cho vắng vắng mày. Movement hin nỉ mấy bây giờ anh patient thấy thế này. Bật chầu lại ngay đó này. Nhưng mình làm bao nhiêu bật chầu đó. Đúng rồi, hết lại mình AI home mình. Excellent. Face mình chút đã cho tới ngay first blood. Na'Vi.
Decent position could be theirs. I mean, the compound at the top of the hill is still open. The position that Enigma Galaxy played for so long last time.
Enigma Galaxy là anh làm phải này.
Is somewhat surprised with Avengers. I think even they're like, okay.
Lưu Thiên này cháu bắt đầu hay. Lưu Thiên này cháu bắt ngay đầu chứ không? Anh rotate pop giờ này nè. Zone trả đối nó.
In the meantime, as well as Team Queso taking shots over towards Virtus Pro, so a lot of these crossings now.
NGX win baka nó thang sắp đầu.
Northwest shift on the circle, so tons of teams are attempting to get their way on in.
Hey, helmet level 1 nè. That's true.
Behind them on the southern side, not quite crossed the bridge yet, but Enigma Galaxy is looking to clear.
Ini curi đâu anh lưu đó.
And Team Queso is not that far behind.
Big surround on the south side for Enigma Galaxy. TJB's short of the river crossing may come back to bite them here. They've already lost one of their players. IHC, they were looking to be more aggressive. Blank out all the way in the blue by Paradise Resort right now. That's not really
IHC hơi vẫn còn kill chế về á. Của mình hí.
And go a little bit hell for leather onto the first map of the day.
Xong bằng nó đâu. Cho nó vắng ai về.
Towards the north, and ASA8 currently holding that north bridge. Blank, we've seen them play up on this position on a northwest island shift before. You try and cross that bridge, they are so ready for it. A lot of points.
Cái này hello làm thế nhỉ? Hắn vắt lán thiên về à?
Yeah, I think for Falak as well, he's an extremely strong player. They opt to put him over towards
Falak
the eastern bridge instead of having him on the high ground. Pubg still holding their own right now versus
Excellent.
Melodious will find a rundown onto action. And that fight still rages on between Tiamba as well as
Team thua lốm nhỉ?
So for both teams, it's looking fairly dire as they haven't even really escaped
from
Paradise Resort just yet. Shan goes down.
Cặp team bốc ạ.
Fortunate turn of events for Tiamba, and it seems like Fury has just been such a difficult weight for them to lift. They can't even get it off the ground at this point. Getso Roy maintaining the compound in the shadow.
Thế tiếng ra em ạ, tiếng lâu của mình rất thì chú ảo là lỗ mà. Nang di po kan live fa chu ti jon ti te cha chu ti chuan ente ase game chu an khel chi he mo an ta he dang sar me ne
QZ left for Tiamba out on that eastern side. IHC yet to make their push through. ASI8 still stopping everybody moving on that northeast side.
Bốc hello me ya.
A lot of these teams haven't even tried it. They're all on this south.
Lai chu open si nong ka pe.
Yeah, it's a massive struggle now. Again, for Vengeance, it really did feel like
the down let
world here. Team K
down.
Against Falcons. They were able to get run down earlier over towards action, but Falcons not going quietly into this one. It's over on that southeast side, and the hard shift on the circle over towards the north. once again really does assist ASIA. Now Na'Vi, they don't take that compound over towards the eastern side, but this actually helps them a lot, and I still appreciate the fact they took the western side of the coast and they've controlled so much of the ground. That's going to mean a nice easy wrap on a western rotate here for them towards some of the compounds to the west of
Cross pay về đó.
Damn, it's just all popping off all day long here on the Sanhok. 43 players and 14 teams, so a lot of teams still in this one, but a massive amount of casualties.
Isalo. Nade down.
Leave it isolated and nade onto the corner.
No, still đấy.
Looking for the knock there, but
Uyang chứ.
Diverted, evaded by Papi Potro.
Nade phụ đó em.
And East wants to put another one in, but he's lined up easy.
Run down. 1v3 thế đó em. Yeah, thấy lâu rất mày. Cá chú khá cái điện nghe hàng ngày đó. Chân sẽ đó đâu. Right, làm ba cái lỗ han nên và bắt chuẩn lỗ sẽ. Pubg versus SFG. DBS lang lỗ one nice về cá chú. 1v2 bắp mày. Nghe khá pa em anh lầu lăng lầu là
flick back on the handle. I mean, it is actually gruesome that they lose that fight.
ASIB zo này ASIB 3 kills alone đó.
Panic coming from Virtus Pro there. They know they need to get rid of him in that moment, but it did not need to come through that quickly.
Cal roll sẽ
just need to wait for Tixi to get that side and take the 2v1. Essentially is just two.
Falcon hơi nó một palo mình lại bao nhiêu lại.
676, but still pretty impressive to do it.
Cabro.
Now outside in the blue.
Anh mù che khai cặp đủ lâu à. Anh mù che cái tìm mất là cái sự mất là cặp đủ lâu về này ha. Thì đó ISC hỗ trợ là nói về team game rotate đó. Nói chuyện han SD hỗ khăn catch face jock, sorry. Cancel. Phật về rủi tổ mấy à. In the middle of the night.
But now Na'Vi have retreated up, and Enigma Galaxy may be going to be moving in their wake up the west.
Oh boy!
Wow!
Yeah.
Nice circle for Na'Vi.
Na'Vi hậu chân này trở về.
Very pleased with this one. They're going to take a 2-2 split, fairly dangerous in stage 4, but I respect it. If they can hold on to this.
IB hậu bao nhiêu? Hạt tiền đàn hậu thế nào?
Have a bit of safety here because I think most teams that are rotating on this western side likely will stop short on one of these compounds that sit over.
Left compound so hạt tiền slam
pop ra. With these northern compounds, so I don't mind it from Na'Vi. But yeah, for Na'Vi, this is certainly a game where they can shoot themselves further up the tables. Though ISIA already have found themselves a full 4 eliminations over towards that eastern side, and IHC is just not even making out of the blue.
SD hậu hi. Apoy. Van Trinh về. Ha chứ là bạc hạt nó hậu. Nên thật vắt.
Top of the tables, they'll maintain it. East side though, a difficult approach. They have to push past.
Sẽ cắt số lỗ sẽ. Phụ đó này ha.
I mean, they rock up to Frozen, who is a solo, but the response time from the rest of IW and NRX was fairly speedy. All just flipped around and took the shots that need.
Guys, man, cái face game live chat kênh thì lâu đi, thì Milo share sắc lại dễ luôn. Thì các bạn xoay lăng lại như thế.
And this is the reason why you didn't see Na'Vi go for that rotate over towards that compound. It did restrict their choices where they can go.
Ego.
Pretty much has just been a straight line up into the circle. Galaxy takes more space though, and I like that from them. I think they rocked up over towards compounds on the southwest, realized that, you know what, there is a ton of space being given here. For what reason? It's likely because a team has given this up so they can move over towards that north side. Now Lemon gives up on that northwest compound and will just try and scout down towards the south. But again, for Na'Vi, this is an important game and a big chance for them.
Inbuilt motor và khát về.
already got 4 elims blank on the north side, which puts them a total of 6 points behind their competitors right now for that third place spot. They want to get rid of them as soon as they can. The good news for them, though, is that ASI8 are kind of trapped in Hatin, right? On that northeast side, getting out of Hatin is going to be pretty tricky. They're towards the edge. Na'Vi a lot more central. The two really powerful spots are Na'Vi's and Alva from Alter Ego holds the other one. The difficulty of that high ground is it's so just isolated. Was that a knock at that range? Goodness me, just a quick one tap. Or maybe that came from another angle. But Alter Ego still holding off all angles here. IHC.
AGM3X nè. Top table hơn thì.
I mean, it's kind of how they started to pull down earlier, right? On the last game that we saw on the Northwest Island, taking an early knock, getting flushed away, losing players, bleeding out.
Yeah, it's that lack of expanding of influence, really.
One has been
I think they would have liked a lot more than just 5 eliminations, but
it's slim, don't it?
Northwest Mountain, you somewhat have to commit to that position and hope the circle comes down your way. I would in fact go as far to say that ASA actually have a really strong spot, and getting out of Hatin is not as difficult as you might think because they can rotate over towards the northern side and play the coast.
NGX hầu
they can play back to that quite easily, and there's a lot of hard cover in that area too.
I heads up. Rồi bật về sắc. Face sau khi anh tiết định lên tùm lè. Alter Ego hiện định move down, chạy tận lạc down. Anh lô thích chấm ý đâu hay. Game lại lâu nè.
Brutal crossfire between ASA as well as Alter Ego, so I don't think they're really making their way out of that one anytime soon. Here's Vengeance though, taking shots over towards Nick Galaxy. Vengeance actually made a very slick rotate to get ahead of Nick Galaxy. It was a bit of a gamble over on that northwest one, but they had enough time to get the scouting done. Falak attempts to leave, or at least get a peek out from these walls. That's hella dangerous.
Oh my goodness. Excuse me? They're still alive? Okay, that's more like it. But a second follow-up as well. I mean, sacrificing two to allow this second crash. Pouring ammo from the mags.
Thì khan lụ bốc tụi nè.
Some cover. So 2 players for Alter Ego make the crossing. I feel like that's just the only option that they kind of had, other than just fully committing to the high ground, which I think arguably may have been better for them, and trying to pick off some points in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, they would have been out in the blue at that point as well. I think Alter Ego, this was really their only choice to get further into the match. It's a good explosion
7 kills
coming through from ASI8. But yeah, now time is limited. But they could pick up an easy extra double here, sending them to 9 eliminations on the game and the highest in the lobby, which would be really fantastic for them. So despite Na'Vi having arguably the best position inside the lobby, they're still on 0 elims. They haven't found much value out of this game.
Right.
And ASA is
reflex
numbers. Good side swap coming through from ISI8. That's a close nade, but
nice
is just not able to capitalize off the back of it, and a good shot from the DBS. And like I said, 9 elims now found for ASA, and yeah, Na'Vi needs this chicken dinner now to stay close, just close to ASA.
I mean, it's also Nick
Facing one down.
Coming on through from ASI8 with the power that they have from this
position. Down.
And like the third place finish for them, the shots over towards
Chenge về là tên đó nè.
Terminator on FaZe Clan has just been so brutal with blue zone. You can't out heal it anymore, and he will fall. Na'Vi breaking the seal. 2 points now on the match.
Though the thing is though, I'm pretty sure that Miller has picked just off the back of the 2 knocks he was able to get over towards Vengeance, which is wild, by the way. This is that crossing that I was talking about earlier, over on that northern side. It's a slight dip, it does give you cover, and like I said, there's a huge amount of rocks in the way. There's still away from Miller and Ali tally up to 11. What a start of the day here for ASIA, and Na'Vi just doesn't know.
They're aware there's a team there, but a big nade from Falak, an opener up to the wall of the compound. This flex out has done so well for ASIA. Lily for Vengeance, very unlikely to be able to get away from this one. Just crawling away with the blue zone at the back. It'll be
Evan skill về right lampang pro pay đi sao?
Steps forwards up to the next layer of the ridgeline. What is this guy doing? You can't do this, Falak. That is not allowed. Na'Vi have got him in the compound. They spotted it as well. Puncher sees him on the cross. He's hopping out. He's going in. On his own, no backup for the rest of the team. He doesn't think he needs it. And the rest have come through, but now he's in a lot of danger. Ralph is having a little bit to say about this one. Nick Galaxy trying to defend their second place.
7 kills lang ito.
Takes down the last player from Vengeance, and there goes Ralph. So we're down to 2 teams remaining. Falak finally falls, and I feel like that was a long time coming. Far too bold for my liking. Another line from Puncher. Here's where they can start to fight back. 3 limbs on the tally, and they're looking for a second knock as well. 2 players down on ASI8.
Na'Vi hon chicken đấy mệt lắm à.
Yeah, I mean, for ASIA, that was an unbelievable play from Falak, and the fact he's able to...
ASIA thì chicken green there nè.
Just hilarious to me as he cosplays as one of Na'Vi's teammates. Moving forward, just maybe trying to look for this final knock here. And now just UZM left remaining. Could be a decent name for the backlines, but highly doubted. Na'Vi take themselves a win on the game.
Na'Vi hon chicken đấy với green lâu. ASIA đó hon chicken green there nè.
On a blinder of match, a huge amount of eliminations. It was not easy to do a lot of times from Hatin because you are slightly cut off towards that northeast side. But yeah, it was a great rollout, like I was saying. I mean, you have to take advantage of that northern side as quick as
Intrante anh em là em. Guys man. Cái chú top table thôi các trận teo thật đấy. Comments còn chia nào.
See a little bit of frustration there. They feel like they should have won that. They had the outside of the compound. They had that ridge line that you were talking about earlier, and they could not quite convert. They get a little bit.
7 kills này mà lại gặp cái này vẫn kill aim về.
Remember, it's not a 2-horse race for third place. Nick Galaxy as well, still in.
Kill too heavy.
Na'Vi and ASI8 push them out. There is still that opportunity to go for.
David Darlong anh po in ăn khá lẹ cắt mấy đấy. OP zone về SI chú mà thêm chicken lâu đấy. Global hầu hi PMGC à John River. Ai hầu hi cái ai ăn kill rồi, anh ăn tên giúp mày à. New Z ba tay ha tel về. New Z ba tay ha à teammate tên kill support through thì mấy thế mà. Mà sẽ kill về lâu. Nang mà hi cái WatchParty yang khăng lang ở đây món là mà rằng hay Ivan này khóc mày cầm mũ nó muốn hôn à cái bè năng ra cái yeah em lưu buka khá vắng lắm Na'Vi cái trận yeah Na'Vi hồi trước nó Van này khóc mày 3 4 5 6 7 kill xuống ngả lâu mà sẽ non chicken tự tự ấy sai hồi trước thì dễ ăn thì dễ dễ mà sẽ kill sẵn ngả súng mà nó dễ lắm.
Currently did not have a strong position in the circle, and because north of the compound is a high ground spot, they can fight Vengeance without fighting Na'Vi. They don't get in that weird 3-way fight.
So Inbuilt try out tier la den 7 kills này ba cần try out tier vậy đó vậy. Tier in video thôi 100k sub in luma cake in ta live ha cái leda valung len thak đó đây mày à.
And Na'Vi's team play was on point and just
bây giờ ta cần số về lại riêng á.
I know Na'Vi won the game, but I feel like this entire match for us just been how I played it. I mean, even before the Vengeance fight, the way they were playing hot in, I kind of want you guys to go in.
Bây giờ hiện anok ta rồi. Anok lại ta khăn pay lăng tụi ni pay bốc tụi ni right lắm bằng pay lại khăng lăng à. Bây giờ cái đó. Để biết tới chủ lâu.
And because they just had the perfect angle, they had one player in Hatin, they had one player near the bridge, one player to the compound south of the bridge, and one player south of Hatin on that high ground position to scout from a distance. So really, it was an almost perfect setup. It is risky because if one player gets knocked, your entire setup to defend the bridge just falls apart, but they didn't lose any players. So in Silio, IHC, unfortunately for them, that rotate was not going to work out. So from the early stage of the game,
even now I can't like play my zones go.
Absolute perfect how they played the macro aspect of Northwest Island.
Yeah, that's what frustrates me so much because I mean,
anh kể lắng đâu hiện zone.
That wasn't going to work out.
Zone try fight với đấy là.
And we were like, where's the boat date? I mean, these guys are so. I was watching them rotate.
Zone here in min trần ngãi là wow.
Like, dude, what do you think IHG is doing here? And you were like, they're gonna rotate 100%.
Zone tra cái lũ con tôm here con nó tê quật quá vào cái con nó tê lại tới mấy lâu cáp cắt chuyện nào mấy lâu ngầu chuyện nào.
Yeah, you said, you know what?
Project về này đâu có ngại em.
They have to rotate.
Cái về dâu.
They just drove straight in. They're like, oh, we're gonna sneak by this bridge. I8 said, come to pop up. Look at that.
Mà sẽ hay.
These guys are not letting
ASI thôi chú. Tụi mấy sao khăn bạc nào rồi đấy. Bác thì nên bảo 6 points. Ang score ra cho nên som pali thằng này à.
Okay, he's playing a bit. Don't worry, I'm used to this. Hot Jukes.
20 points on score ra.
Okay, scored a bit. But yeah, still, Gandalf in it for I8, definitely the case here.
Placement like kills.
Right, sure, they might not always get the chicken dinner Jukes, but the eliminations alone.
Placement like kills. Anh em được khóc này.
Pakistani team, I can tell you that much. 20 points on the board.
Pakistan team.
And it's been happening a lot where the second place team Jukes is actually the top winning team in terms of total points, not the chicken dinner team. So I'm telling you, man, Elims is going to be so heavily focused on for some of these squads, I in particular. But then I got to say, Nigma Galaxy, as always, putting points on the board. 8 points this game, right? So staying relevant in that top 3 conversation.
4 points here.
I'm also curious about. I mean, I'm pretty much gonna change topics to Navi, back to them, if you don't mind, Max.
Sure.
Because I'm kind of thinking back to yesterday's game where we had a similar zone yet again, right? And we had Navi. Well, we had Team K, so I should say, send it full straight through every team to get to that northwest part of the northwest island. And then Navi actually ended up going up in that direction, not really Team K, so had gone there.
By MVP đấy mà lại. Nghe tiếng nghe 7 kills này pa ha MVP là wow. ASI tụi mình ha.
They didn't try to go for any like bridge camping or denying of any players from pushing.
2 kills này á 53 in here là. Survive minutes song ni pakat. Assist pathum damage zali song ni pakat.
Other teams are going to do the dirty work for them and hold off the bridge. So, oh well, we rotated so early. Other teams are going to be holding off the bridges, holding off the swim rotations across the water. We can just play it very passive until the late game, hold on to our resources, and thanks to that, we're going to be getting a chicken dinner. So it was a really good this time around. Jason, as you said, Team Kesso did not send it, so they had free reign to do whatever they wanted up north.
Anh kill đôi mà mấy người here.
Unfortunately for them though, sure
Top team sao
they still don't breach up into the top 3. I thought that was going to be the game to make it happen, but no, they're just going to be, what is that, 3 points behind Nigma Galaxy, and thanks to I8 up in second place, maybe we're going to see them overtake IWNRX here in 2 matches today. That would be absolute madness today.
First match kill thati join second third fourth fifth ju nghe gì anh nuông về chúng kill first match về kill thắt cho mà sẽ first match về kill thắt lâu join second third fourth fifth thì về ju down the ball về mà sẽ top table rồi không có down đâu là lâu motivate về chiếm đâu phải con sâu chọc lại thút truyền hiện anh đi tùy lâu vậy tụi nó chú anh nói là in tlang na lấy đến boot game mà cái là el pozo ang cái là el pozo này là chọn campo cái second drop spot này novo ang cái là này chú tlang na thật đầu làm po này là zone trắng tuổi zone và này về đây ngay rồi.
I'm happy with Alterigo here. Of course, it's Northwestern Island. It's kind of gifted to them because they drop on the mountain.
I think 7 kills này pas MVP là wow.
Making sure they don't get backstabbed by teams here. They were making sure no teams was going to be entering late from the southern side. They even picked up Zyold, the solo remaining player of IHC. They were really keeping tabs on every squad entering from the southern side. And by doing so, you have an easy access into the late game. You don't lose any players. You have a lot of resources. But unfortunately, when you are pushed downhill, Jukes, against teams like Navi, I8, Nigma Galaxy, Vengeance, like you're not going to win that game. You just know it.
Zone chẳng là zone là chỉ là bình thường ha nên kills sang lên kill sẽ.
If the zone goes to mainland, I mean, it's not like much of a worry. There's so much room to breathe there that it's easy to rotate on in. So, I mean, I love this strategy of this Northwestern Island drop. We've seen teams that do it more often than not have a lot more success on Sanhok. So, I mean, it's totally understandable why they said that, you know, I in particular said, hey, this is our best map. You know, we put up points on
last hit na MVP đó anh sẽ bị vào đây cả chứ anh tôi nghe 2024 PMGC League này oh
2v1 out of Virtus Pro.
PMGC chu eng om je kan de chon PUBG Mobile Global Championship tu chu om je ni reverse tu lai BGMI Auckland ho hian an ban san samai si BGMI po hi hnem tel tel me nga big lo la kha chu
I have no idea. We've seen a few times where a duo would push a solo and it would get a little bit too overconfident, a little bit too
nir se la khel do do nem khel na no hai ai ka na sai
1v1 and because he's got DBS or Nest 12K, well, the other guy follows in his footsteps and he gets taken out instantly. So I hope that one day, Jason, these guys will learn that yet that is not the day. Today is not
an chicken lo MVP lo MVP lo
I know as we're about to head to next match, it kind of shows that
next match second som ni
um,
ai lobby vela in kapani lobby vela
some like communications or synergy issues that they haven't
tinge earphone le headphone an vo kop lai
pair with him. So
a chan chu a beng cheng don ta ni chu kha bi beng cheng tur kha headphone kha nin
hopefully we're not going to see any problems.
a ti pui ta de
Teams we're heading to our
oh
first Aaron Gill today, and well, we're all looking at I8. We can see if they can
ren galang khelo na let's go Indian khelo mi India jong khelo
Aaron Gill in this group.
an khel Pakistan team
There is only one way to find out, and that is by launching headfirst into our first of 3 Erangels from the military base up to Stalba. Plane paths should be fairly kind.
an music dai hi nin
Maybe the west
copyright vel om ngem la
accessible, especially up towards North George and Zaki Way. But overall, we'll see if Navi can step up to the mark and keep things going. Because right now, it's kind of looking like an isolated 4-horse race.
It is, yeah. And as Jason said, the error bells are ringing for some of these other regions. Right now, PMSL, EMEA, they're kind of on top right now. They're doing sick. Like, we just
guys, man.
kind of good. We had T-Spirit winning out in Group Yellow. Now it's likely going to be another PMSL, EMEA team taking a first place position here in Group Red. Like you say, though, still 2 more days to go. But IWNRX have found that spark that they've been looking for quite a while. A return to form. You know, it felt like that rust is just falling away from the blade.
Falcon.
And it's nice to see. It is really nice to see because they look sharp.
Falcon jo drop spot ve nang ve a Novo boot game weekendi le Miran tlang na galo shalo
They go down
hell
early again, and there's some good
ve lam pa pot le ta dei mai
tricky stuff. West side circle blank. We haven't seen it this group, but we saw it plenty of times going over towards Quarry. We'll see if we drop down there again, because it seems like so far we've seen so many shooting range circles in this group. Teams may be unfamiliar with it. Ooh, Tiamba, who have they spotted? I think that's one of the Nars
cái gì hơi khác
over on the east
cái
side.
cái sợi đó cái thể hiện đấy anh thâu lại cặp thắc ha
Yeah, it's a bit of a difference for Na'Vi right now over towards Milta at the moment. Right now, I think they're trying
anh
to
thâu
play
lại
down
cặp
the
thắc
ball in
hay
the
ha
Milta,
cái thể hiện đấy cái thể hiện đấy
try and get something
nhiều rất
going
nghe
with
ý
the
sĩ đủ
Na'Vis
rộng
a little bit out the way.
nhiều rất
Further
khi cái
point
đủ
out
rộng
being
mà
so far over towards the eastern side, and then the circle
Ah,
shifting off towards the west.
airborne,
There's a
airborne,
couple of
airborne.
circles,
Cái thể hiện đấy.
where it's not going to be easy to play. I did really like Na'Vi's rotates on that last game, and you have to admit, either way you look at it, for Na'Vi in terms of that performance on that map, yeah, they weren't able to get a lot of eliminations, but in terms
Falcon ho
of
có tròn cái
where
chú
they went, when they went, and why they went there, it was all fairly perfect. I just don't think that the Nox and the Elims came their way all that often, and ASI8 were just able to pick a lot more eliminations
stop
out
her.
from the position they were playing, catching a lot of the teams coming off from that high ground on that south side. It was fortuitous on the circle because we've seen a lot of times where, you know, you play hats in, circle moves down towards the south, you're in that exact same situation.
Nó có face cam thể trap what's about con nút lock
The one who has to come out the cave looking very sad for yourself because you're about to get railed by the teams up on the high ground.
Furia on the prowl in Yasnaya, looking for Virtus Pro. The Bears versus the Wildcats over on the northeast side of the map. Both of them going to have to leave, but on Yasnaya positions in general, you can play 2 teams fairly split. Doesn't mean you can get too confident with it though. You can't get too close to the danger because everybody's ready for a point, you know. You'll take those whenever they do get spotted. ASIA, you know where they're going. It's military. They go there every time. No questions. They're going to have to leave it now this time, though. And IWNRX may be in their way, so potential danger on the crossing if IWNRX don't send towards a North Quarry position first.
It's an interesting one. I think for IWNRX, there's always this curious I guess, move between both ASIA and them, right? The way that they play in tandem between one another inside of Erangel, where sometimes IWNRX might want to go for that bridge hold versus ASI 8. However, in the past, it's not always worked out. ASI have found the better of them for quite a few times. So it does look like you're right, John. IWNRX are going to head over towards the northern side of the quarry early, which is a fair enough move to me, I would say. Getting more control on that north side where you can then back it up into quarry later on. I think that gives you more options in the future. And especially we've seen a lot of times in the past over the multiple years that we've casted Pubg Mobile, the fact that when you get teams isolating around quarry, you get tons of teams all around the outside, and it creates almost this net for the teams within.
Lo guys man, kalau comment man đâu đâu
you want to be in a secure position. You don't want to get getting picked up by outside teams. And I think where IWNRX is currently placing themselves on that northern edge of quarry, that's the smart choice.
Yeah, they've headed up now to that west side, just north of quarry, a little bit towards those Gakta fields as well. And you're right, it's in general the much more higher expected value play. However, I will bring into the fact that they know that it's ASI 8 there, and they know that ASI 8 are only 6 points behind, and whilst it may be good for your point scoring in the long run to go for that, it would be worse for ASI 8's point scoring if you can take 2 or 3 of their players down on a crossing. So, I think it's a little bit early to be going for plays like that, but if this was the last day, if this was tomorrow, and this situation was happening, I would say it may be a little bit more convincing for IWNRX to actually maintain a hold on that position. But then again, it's a risky strategy, very risky.
Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. That's why I say this as well, is that for IWNRX, it has been difficult because the multiple times that they've tried to hold that or even drop around ASI 8, has been consistently ASI 8 winning those fights. Their team is very strong. They have players in there who have been part of the PUBG Mobile scene for a long time, not always to the greatness that we're seeing here from them. However, it feels like they have been improving time and time again. All credit to their coach as well. Feels like he is being much more supportive of them as a team, which I think is the right thing to do when you come to a team that has a lot of veterans, right? You have to take a step back.
Oleh, còn back lại tay. Mình sẽ bắn tên em hay. Tôi lại hiện in mình dâu hay. Tôi lại em make tay mình dâu nè. Hey, gắt chả nè mò hay. Gắt chả nè. Gắt chả team. Fura khela.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing. I think
Tataka, anong lo mizo? PMGC World ani WORLD. Oh.
Certainly very impressive
Logo.
so far. And the biggest surprise in this group, I think it's safe to say, for ASI 8 to be able to come up and compete for that first place spot. Great stuff coming on through. Falcons Force on the south side next to Tianba right now,
Logo.
going past the farm, and I think both of these two teams, kind of the opposite, and I guess also one of the biggest surprises of these groups. Falcons doing a little bit better than Tianba right now, 79 to 70, but both of them were expected to be top 3 performers. I think by the majority of analysts or anyone looking at this group, you would have been putting them certainly in the conversation, if not in your top 3. So the fact that they are falling behind, and in some cases at risk of not even qualifying for survival stage, it's a little bit surprising.
Yeah, I again, there is a fair few amount of teams here.
Lo guys man, buổi lâu lắm.
We've said it multiple times now throughout both groups that we just have a really competitive lobby. We don't even have a competitive lobby. We have a competitive amount of teams here in PMGC. All 48 of the teams that did join us, like, damn, it's been an incredible time watching all of these teams play. We haven't even got to our final group just yet, but so far, I don't think really. It's IHC and Furia that so far have been the teams that stand out as not so great teams, but it's not like they can't tango with the rest of these boys, right? I mean, we know IHC is a strong squad. We know Furia has good players on side. They are just being outshone a little bit by some of these other squads. Again, would you say Virtus Pro is a bad team? I don't think I would.
No, I would agree. Think that they are bad, but they're just not as good right now as the rest of this lobby. A hard south shift flank, and it's group yellow time. We're going back to Quarry. Na'Vi going to be trying to roll across the open ground. They've lost Puncher, but Tiamba are on foot, or very exposed. Full chat. I mean, that was a really slow roll up, especially for a bike. Sean should have been going at a fair lick faster, and it looks like Na'Vi are on the hunt. They want retribution. They want some points from this game. Oh my goodness me. They are just absolutely terrorizing. Oh, Tiamba's rotation. This is so brutal. Goodness me. What a way to go.
I mean, look at it this way. Tiamba, you find one Elam.
Full in kan tay.
You create
sorry.
within this squad. They hunt you down in vehicle and Flip picks up.
Tony ke te ho kan khel ve. Tony ke te ho ka chu group masa yellow an khel. Guys man ka face game le to do na. Live chat cái mình lại tổ đôn là quá mình lâu sẽ thiếm lại sắm lại đôn này cần face cam lại tổ á live chat cái chuyện lại mình tổ đôn đôn thì khác có đòn xoáy lại để ta sẽ face cam và start lại chị let's go tiếng kinh lại tiếng kinh về hai nào về mà cái zone hit tổ pin rin bằng đi.
They were far away ahead of a lot of other squads inside of this lobby.
INS face.
The middle mark of day 2. And I still do think they can bring it back. But,
INSF 8.
Very much on a tear as at IWNRX.
Nghe bắt đầu nó sợ đó.
I just want to go back a little bit to what you're saying about it's nice to see
Lemon. Tôi lên thật lâu này không? Này thật to. Three kills này không to. Tiền bà hậu bốc này không? Lâu kill chơi lại đó. Ngay đây gần chơi là lắm bằng thế. Bắt kill, bắt đầu kill chơi về. Bật khá này không? Premox lắm bằng ạ.
Furia, they've managed to get in on the north side, close to IHC. The battle for the bottom is on the north side this time.
Oh, 1 HP nè. Ấy này nào. Nè.
I think a lot of
thì đó chứ.
ASA currently here looking over to
anh này trở về.
Felt like he wasn't that low, but
he was on like a sliver of HP there and nearly got the
bật khá này. Face sau chứ. Let's last in.
I think that I think I've just gone blind for a moment.
Tiền ba hộp bộ phao mà lom.
I don't see any health bar on that, but no, they do pick up.
ASIA đâu chúng nó kill chắc consistent về. Tiền ba hồi ăn kill chắc consistent về là thua.
Luckily, the circle does shift on down towards the south, so they can pick up position on this southern edge towards Primorsk. This will keep them safe. I think for Virtus Pro, this is likely the best decision you can make in the future, is just to play over towards that north side.
Quarry is the central focus. As I said before, we saw a lot back in Group Yellow, and now it's Group Red's turn to try and dig what they can out of this game. Shot and knock confirm as well for Vengeance over towards Incilio on the southwest side of Quarry. They are taking a little bit of a look over that way. IWNRX on the north side of Quarry right now.
I already talked to. Wait. I already talked to them today, and he gave us that link. But if you want a new link, just go and talk to him. Okay, like I'm live right now. I might be busy. Yeah.
For them, and they do want to solidify this one over towards Getzer.
I already talked to him today.
I think Getzer has definitely been a surprising team. That's a nice name from Colgo.
But
who is consistently
you can also
really putting out the
talk to him right now.
But yeah, like I said,
I don't know that you're
we didn't really see that they'd had fantastic performances throughout the start. I think he was
face game how culture em thì kan start đâu.
They have just been managing to get towards a lot of these end games. Their rotates are fairly clean, albeit some of their fighting isn't always the best. But in terms of getting towards position, Getzeroy's pretty damn good at that.
It's the same story, I think, for Incilio. These were the two teams that you're right. I was talking about seeing them.
Helai zone top về khát chút. Cái anh đó này, lại về thì. Mình sâu nghe vai à nghe. PMGC ở thấu hiện. PMGC
trying to get across TJB's sight lines, and that is dangerous. However,
face so yan man ni du mel ve tu ta kan khel da la chuan
moving in, Mela and Mormon on the north,
tu nang hun ve lai hin in zong kan lut ve chau
to
za
their west, Nick the Galaxy out to their east, so a dangerous approach from FaZe.
oh
For FaZe, it will be difficult. They have to find some early shots
an
here
dim
on
chila
Furia, who are
ngai bro
yeah, this is
ne đâu
an odd one. We have the leaning vehicles against one another, trying to create a card stack for themselves. With
NGX on third party về lại thấy bốc NGX không có đâu à
It's an awkward
time
fight to
for
take,
break
and
khá
it's
lắm rồi
timing
đó
as well. I think a lot of teams will
bật
take
thề
advantage, especially now you get
DJB hậu
circle shift on the lobby.
online zone tổ bằng
They are
oh
grinning away.
NGX on third party ấy
Circle for them.
Absolutely brilliant news, but on the north
left
side,
trang gặp
it is anything but, because both
này chỗ đó nè
and FaZe having a real tough
boom
time.
ngay chỗ đầu mà là
Done back over to Fury, and look at Silence up on that high ground as well. Last player for FaZe up close and personal.
chủ lầu chuẩn thì phè có thằng
Roman does take a tumble as well. That is Navallo. It's Nick the Galaxy. We saw how much
NGX
they
on
liked
third party về là tổ bốc xí
yesterday's games, in the games before that as well, and in they come to pick up some points from this match. And at a crucial juncture, remember Na'Vi are breaking down the door right now. They're going to have to try and push in from very pier
down there
towards ASI8. If Nick the Galaxy can seal these points away to their tallies, they could jump up over ASI8, maybe even contend with IWNRX.
I mean, Nick the Galaxy don't have a bad position to play this game out. I think their real struggle is going to come later.
FaZe part net
deciding
về
where
lại
they want to play going forward. Good nade from Silence,
nade
finds another
nade
from
thậm
FaZe,
chí không phải
and that will be the
lúc
finish.
kèn tuy thế đâu
Fury did get a nice tight surround on the guys over on FaZe. Yeah, for Nick the Galaxy, I do think that they have them potentially dead to rights here. Need some strong shots over towards their way, but a good dip out and quickly finding those eliminations. In the meantime, it's IWNRX coming up against IHC, 2 down, and it's just Zed Wolf remaining, and it's time for him to prove his worth.
IWNRX moving
Đang face game thêm là
and then over towards Godless. Zed Wolf
Call rất thêm là
can't find the crashes.
táng đây này
From a million miles away, having an impact, an import from the other side of the circle.
This is hella important. Na'Vi actually rocked up over towards ASA and actually
cái anh tụ tội nhau thì bối tội đầu tại lúc độ knock chị Falcon Hole yeah come on one knock push low ấy pakatan thấy pakatan thấyตัวpakatan lo mà này đã cố cả nó direct slam mi rồi mà là
but yeah, that was a great play from Na'Vi. I think
I thought on
both assumed that them crossing in from the eastern side, likely ASA was just going to shut them down as they entered. But yeah, fantastic crash from them.
Really well timed push, seemingly finding that opening, managed to jump through the hoops. I think Falcons, their approach here, whilst maybe well
Na'Vi hold on thing về để tao này
well for them. Because Na'Vi can take shots through those corridors, it's going to force Falcons to take a full-on straight up fight directly and linearly into these buildings, right? You can't use those side angles, you can't use those off angles unless you can get some picks over towards Na'Vi. Na'Vi control a lot of the pace of this. The good news for Falcons Force is they don't need to. They can just maintain position here and try and play for the next circle.
He's been thrown in from either side. Flip's looking to get another one going through as well. Team Queso here against Nick the Galaxy, and this is what we were talking about earlier in terms of what was their crossing looking like in the future. I think that might be the entirety of Nick the Galaxy actually going down in the blink of an eye. Just one player left remaining for them in Ralph as he has to make a quick send round the corner. There is shots coming through from both Alter Ego as well.
ai gen hi kala change lowa chunin tuna UNI ang tur kha sen la shem chunin chu shiltel hal vek mero ti khan
Trying to go for a wild rotate. It was a really difficult approach for Nick the Galaxy. They get 3 elims, and Na'Vi can go on the chase now. The next circle,
guys ka buhay ni ka buhay
on the tally already. They're looking to try and push further into this one. The place
haven't
kick in yet either, which means that Nick the Galaxy only get the 3 points from the elims they found.
And Nick the Galaxy, unfortunate ending for them. 105 points. still, again, for their point scoring, they are far ahead from a lot of the other teams. But you are right; it's this 4-horse race towards that top.
Yeah.
Side. And Na'Vi
Down
should quite confidently get back into that third place
spot
on that southeast side. There's a ton of potential eliminations for Na'Vi as well in ASI8, Falcons, and the final player from Tiamba. Polgo, though, he's been having a great time this game, and the majority of this tournament so far in Group Red. I mean, he has been a singular beacon for.
Seemingly their playground right now, and we haven't really talked too much about it. We touched on it earlier a little bit, but TJB slap bang on the high ground. Good game. No elims just yet, but we talk about this a lot. When you get that central strong position, in general, you're looking to stage 5, the end of stage 5, and to start to open the cannon. Icy finally opening up for the Falcons force up towards this compound, because now they do have to make that move. They didn't up until this point, but now they can start to turn up the gas.
Quick pick up on the bond as well, so that backstab potential is taken away. Na'Vi may be thinking about getting involved with this in the future. I mean, it'd be good to take them down once they're distracted with the final player from ASI8. I think they're more comfortable position this inside the circle. They have to push out into open ground. Good nade from top will finish off UZM, and that is ISA8 going out in 11th place with only the 1 elimination. Not quite as bombastic as our previous match there on Sanhok.
Na'Vi able to get a point here and ladder up into 3rd now. Blank Enigma Galaxy pushed out in the 3rd place bubble. How far can
I loot the way. Cái điện sec chung có thể lộ tên này lùi har zek này mà thế này lùi xe chọn two kills này hal shot.
Yeah, that's from Alter Ego. I think Six has been looking out that way quite frequently, and I think Alter Ego finally do find the number. Again, it's one of those positions where you expect a team to be, so you are checking that balcony quite frequently. So I think that Na'Vi needs to be a little bit more cautious on those peaks now as we get more into that slow portion of the match at 20 minutes in.
Fight on
that top side, and they have just allowed Falcons to push on through. There is that off angle still available. Six again needs to be careful. This is a position he wants to play to stay out of danger, but he knows that there are those sidelines from Alter Ego.
TJB bula.
This next circle shift, which might accelerate this fight quite a bit. Will definitely slow it down once again. Both these teams know that they need to win.
Lại fight thì cần dò ai, thì về chứ. Lại fight thì cần dò cho cần chuộc thể đâu đâu. Nét lùi. Ăn mối và này tập pina run down về lại ai Tarsman don ai nice pick up Tarsman này I think ai mấy nó chậu là tao bảo khá là mỏ là chú là
Six there, I feel bad for him. Again, that's just some of the nerves going through.
Này tụi đó em nice về I see on kill thật rất.
Na'Vi fall short on that game. I really do think they could have pushed that a lot further. 7 elims though is not bad, but that's all they'll be grabbing off the back of this one as Falcons do take them out. It was somewhat lukewarm in terms of their defense versus Falcons as they made that crossing. I think partly that's because they have goes down at such an unfortunate moment for them, and I do think that is partly his fault on the fight, because I don't think he should have been peeking Alter Ego. They should have been way more focused over towards that Falcons crossing. Alter Ego was something that they wouldn't have had to deal with for a long time.
I think it all comes back to a little
bit on third party về thế
right? They got an opening to ASI8, but they didn't conclude that fight, and that may have forced them into suboptimal defense positions against that Falcons force approach, because Falcons were able to consume the ground.
한 땅 꽂아 난 보이잖아 실내와.
I feel like sure the hold wasn't super strong, but I think there were multiple factors.
Left lamp on cover
which Na'Vi crashed into the north side earlier on, didn't quite fully establish themselves. As we turn our attention now to
the pathuman 올라다면
TJB off this high ground.
patni 찐 덤도 먹으니 pathuman 올라다면래.
TJB, it's a strong spot. It is, however, exposed to multiple positions. There isn't really all that much hard cover in that location. This is just going to rely on pure mechanical skill. Luckily for Tongjiabao, they are filled with mechanical skill. They have loads of it. And I think this is one of the few locations where I would have good confidence in Tongji Bao to be able to hold on to this spot. Nades are going their way though now, and they're not taking too many shots outwards. A little bit of a shack controlled for 676, who has shown us he is unbelievably deadly.
With that pump action as well on the back, slung behind the scar.
Oh.
Team Queso. Rico go for a roll up and it's getting messy over the north side. Rosemary, both still up in an action, but 3 players.
Oh, anh giấu đấy thì không.
Finally, they get taken out. Is this a rollout as well for TJB? They're looking at third party. A lot of damage done to Team Queso, but it's Melody.
Đây đã đâu cặp tụi nó về lại. Down đó em. Ai, ông lướt tục.
No connection, and there's a third party that comes through from the Falcons, and Team Queso will be going down very, very low. Can they keep their heads above water here? Because TJB may have just stumbled.
It was a great crash coming through from Team Queso. A little bit explosive in terms of losing 2 players on that run-up, but in terms of the smokes they were able to place down, the nades that went through.
Kita right trong khi anh veng thọ sẽ right trong anh lút tur. Left firon, tụi nó mi hoi ron clear ra xe ó. Nét bùi đó em. Oh, anh trade đấy. Nét trở về vel tụ. Nó tha mắc mày. Easily, I see it.
Number advantages. Circle does not favor anyone. It's over towards the roadside. This is a very, very difficult circle to play in the end game. And again, this is a case where stage 7 is probably going to be the most important stage of finding those pickoffs and maintaining a full squad.
Incilio down, try to move close to the shack that Furia hold, but will not work out. 6 teams now remain. Melosa launching left in the back pocket. TJB.
Isan một chiếc thế đó quý sĩ. GX nên tin vàng vậy là đầm chúa dù hả vàng. Ồ, đủ tôi nó cặp thầy. Giống cái đó. Anh một đó cụ thể khẩn đấy thế nhá, lưu hầu hi.
I mean, they understand that. Look, there was the crash that happened down towards the southeast. That's likely
down them. Come on, east.
There was only one team that could really hold on that western side. So
no.
Just this sense of control the northern edge. And it's going to be up to team on that south side to either fight against one another. We just need to have a little bit of interaction throughout the majority of this. You can see that it's around about a 62% chance to win rate for Tongji Bao, and I would 100% agree with that fact. They have.
I see Nate to let hit on him.
This close to Falcons is an interesting maneuver.
I don't know, bro.
They're within nade range, but
not on Nate.
7-6. Looking to pull the pin here. They move away from the vehicle. You can see that smoke is dropping. They're playing outside of it. Trying to confuse Falcons, but there's still nades in the back pocket. Icy has got 4 of them. A nade over that.
Right, lampang siya da nade rồi Icy. Nade luôn.
Ay. Doesn't go quite long enough. The cook just a little bit too long. Up on the high ground, you still got longs going. Malloy still hiding out behind his little ridge. His little buggy and Furia yet to lead their shack.
Oh, baka them down.
And with the amount of nades that Falcons had, I didn't like this roll up from Tongji Bao. I think that they could have potentially set up a little bit further back there and just gone for shots like this as the circle started to push in. Instead, they try and get
về tràng về sau bây giờ thì ra.
But again, they don't know the angles on the south side. I think that's the dangerous proportion. It was the advantage they had over on the north is that they knew they controlled all of that area. Again, this is dangerous, but okay.
How did he get away with that? Longs is there, up on the high ground. Didn't spot that, didn't even take shots.
Khi bắt trụ tan tầm cái nào là.
If they lose longs, it's very bad news for them.
Anh thi hay bộ.
A little bit of a mishandling here. As Furia try and leave.
Do nó thị mấy khả tan rồi.
Knocks, I think that was.
Kill spec lậu khả này vậy.
They are all out on the southwest side. Falcons actually getting the flush over towards longs on the high ground as well. And they're picking up the points now. TJB starting to suffer. They still have the numbers advantage and they still have an overwhelming odd of victory.
Ba quay rồi chỉ cần vẽ thút thế nhiều. Ba quay hi. Em mở rồi, một view thì tụi mà tan. Falcon tan hian nge ron hokanga.
Well, they cleared out the players on that western side already, so it's a question.
Atlan goal fu chuan.
There isn't any more squads on
Oh,
that edge
spot
of
ha.
the map. Good step up from Triple S. Instantly gets back down again. He has to pull off some.
An va bait chave.
But Thongjibao will find
Falcon
that.
han
Now
zau.
there's one final player inside the lobby.
1v3.
Malloy
Tlang golon.
Pro. This is probably the third.
Aklats chuan. Oh, pakatan okay.
But this should be a win for Thongjibao. Good step up from Malloy though.
Net ne se.
The M4 here, John.
They'll have used a lot of nades trying to get rid of Falcon Force, so not potentially super easy to get this one done. The middle of the circle has to be given up a little bit, and TJB not.
Film khurasin. Player pakat chi om to.
Need to be careful though. If you're overexposed, if you just get clipped, you could be in a 1v1 situation. In a very
1v1.
No nades there, and he spotted Malloy for Virtus
Any low.
Still has one more player to deal with, but it's 676.
Anin pick to.
Go for the dart out, and 676 stands up.
Ay.
Can't quite find it, and out in the open, finally it's
Front kill to.
will find it. TJB able
Helami patan helami devati ve harong dang dara.
to close that game down. The fight for
TJB on chicken tlat mai.
they keep everyone alive, and on the south side they hold their nerve against
Dude.
I just think that there was a situation there where the two players had dropped down on the east. If IC was slightly more on target with those nades, it could have been an easy
Motoran debate
an interesting maneuver from TJB, extremely aggressive, just like a lot have commended them for. But in the meantime, we send this back over the desk as TJB gets a few more points on their tally.
A few more points. I think they'll be pretty happy about this, as well as Falcons getting their 10 eliminations in a third place, not to mention Verse Pro getting a second place here. So some teams who desperately want to get some points going have been able to do so here in this match. But before we dive into the end of the game, we got to talk about the start of the game and how don't take shots at Navi unless you're ready for the whole team to come at you.
Tan bok vak pay chak dau sa.
Everybody, man. Beautiful shots off the car. It's good to see Navi.
In pick tir man law sa.
I think right before this game, were they in fourth place? So they definitely want to kind of keep that point gap because they are starting to get a little bit more between fourth and fifth here, man.
Yeah, Tiongbao just going to be scared.
Around last
Navi going forward, like, no, okay, we'll drop on the opposite side of the map.
6, 7, 8,
spray us down in the car. It's just too good of us.
9 kills.
TJB get himself the chicken dinner.
19 points.
You were telling me just before we went on desk here, Jukes, that it kind of gave you some PL vibes, right?
Oh, big time. Because, you know, in the third day of PEL, these guys went from 9th place all the way to the top, baby. And they won that championship. Won over 700.
Zual tayo ang leve ya. Epaju. Hindi ba? Guys. Hey, by TJB SS. Triple S by Zual tayo ang asina. Ende lang. Okay, Zual tayo kill ba that way, guys. Zual tayo.
From 9th since day one, they just okay, we see how this is working out now. We've just
Left it can chill it dong.
it's working pretty good. Tixie, no. But we're going to see the replays here, Jukes. Very soon we're going to be seeing that insane triple man spray down from Longs on top of that shed. That was such a good spot to be at that point because it's edge of circle, so you know you're not going to be having any possible bad off angle for you to get knocked from. They had info on Vengeance. He's like, yeah, I spot them. Should I take a shot? Yeah, just one spray down is going to be enough to get the triple knocks, and then the rest of the team helps him to get the confirms. Longs, that was literally the play to clear.
Iluju ava pukva.
So well.
Oh my gosh.
Kalchi.
Like, you know, every single
Tu ngay chan ber. Falcon ka chan ber.
one spray down the line, and you just get a ton of eliminations. So beautifully done for them. Navi as well put up some nice points on the board too. So I was kind of interested to see that we did have a couple of the top squads go out.
Lúc mẹ ngay đúng không? Ngay tổ bảng bạn do hay.
See some of those teams in the mid pack really pop off, and I think we did. I mean, we saw Alter Ego out in the late game.
DBS mang thiểm ba.
Solid start to today.
Mang thiểm hay nè.
Man, I kind of got sandwiched between Navi and Falcons.
DRS try there.
We were seeing 3-4
Falcon
previously.
OG.
A little bit of a shame they didn't have all 4 players left alive. or maybe
Capture
they
over.
did what they did on Sanhok, but for me, it's also nice to see Falcons be able to frag out. And I feel like, you know, Max, as you talked about towards the top of the show today, we haven't seen these like amazing games out of them. And obviously not winning the match here, I feel like 10 elims for me is a good sign of like, okay, maybe the old Falcons is not gone just yet. Maybe a little bit more time to cook here. and we're going to see them continue to pop off.
Spend more time to young.
Anh break về đó nào là.
That's all they're gonna know. Young I said yeah, I said it wrong. I need 7 to help me on saying that. But no, it was a good engage overall. I think there were definitely some weaknesses in how Navi were holding down the position, but then they just
10 kills.
Players able to just overwhelm the solo players of Navi really efficiently. So yeah, 10 elim on the board. Really happy with the side of Falcons this time around. Again, I want to see more because the first 2 days they sure got himself a chicken dinner, but outside of those wins, there wasn't really too much happening for them. So this is not a win, so I'm a little bit happy to see that they can at least get some good performances when the chicken dinner is.
Top table son vẫn kill cho về.
So man, still TJB, we saw that spray of longs there. I just want to talk about that spray so much here, Hodgins, because it was really the big impactful spray initially. Though Team Kesso, we need to talk about them, right? 10 eliminations playing the southern side of Corey. That was on point, Jukes.
Oh, beautiful. I mean, who else can you really just shine the spotlight on other than Kolko, dude? This guy is really putting this team on his back. He's just been standing out.
3 points in on the top table how he.
I saw whenever he had that.
Yes, I be about 1 point in here. Top table how kills. But
man, I mean, it's good to see Team Kesso start off strong today. They really needed it. I mean, 10 eliminations. These guys should be stoked. And hopefully we can see them repeat that at least a couple times if they want to make that run for top 3.
But I'll tell you, if anyone holds the MG3,
I'm talking kill them. I kill low.
Versus Pro, I also want to highlight them a little bit this game because they did have a good entry point.
BTR until low MD. Tele. You know, group sang sang in channel. Cái hiện chỉ là chọn yellow group ăn kill đó, cho nên tụi tôi là group red ăn kill lại mấy cả. Day 3. Day là thằng ăn kill lại. Cái hiện chỉ là day 3 ngay day 4.
Really feel like they are struggling to pick fights that really help them a lot in these matches. So that's something they can hopefully try and improve on.
Yeah, you know what rhymes with Virtus, bro? I don't know.
That's a good point.
Group red.
Yeah, that's how I feel, to be honest, because like I don't know what's going on with this team. I mean, we know the potential they have on the roster. I mean, Max, man, you've had a picture of Pixie on your wall since the beginning of time.
Day 1 yellow. Day 2.
You know, that picture could stay up.
Day 3.
It's just the Wolverine
Day 4.
of him laying in bed holding.
Day 4 thằng anh kill. Yellow group à khan in BTR nó mà.
Here again, the tiebreaker will be Chicken Dinners first, which they currently hold over I8. As you see TJB moving up to 5th place as well. Vengeance, I do want to quickly.
Yellow group chin là kill. Tu na red group day 3 na mega. Na tu khi and last day tour.
They did pick up 7 eliminations and 3 placement points.
Mà sẽ phát na chun là hậu thâu này.
To all of our viewers because it is showing a little bit of an adaptation and play out of them. And you got to give credit where it's deserved. Whereas Getsa Roy have been able to fall, well, not been able, they've unfortunately have fallen from I think it was 5th down to 8th now in our leaderboards.
Ooh, that hurts. But yeah, I'm happy.
Point anh một lậu tệ anh vẫn còn consistent lậu về.
Seeming to take fights instead of just we want to avoid fights as much as possible. We want to reach the late game. No, they saw the fight in Cilio versus Pro happening. Once it wraps up, they get involved in the fight and they're able to sweep the Western team.
BTR जो group red, group yellow anh kill đó. Anh em points.
It's going to help them just
hold
on to a spot in the survival stage at minimum.
Tu ta hen red anh kill Mac.
I love to see that.
Day 4 thằng.
I mean, because they landed right by farm and they just hauled it kind of.
Tia trong khan cái invest cho ra. Cái lập mulu rồi.
This is rough.
Hay mi biki. Em gì? SM9 ACM9 biki. Navi.
And it's like 26 points.
IHC performance too chalo vậy mày.
If they don't get a win today, or if they don't start putting up,
DRS forever.
Eliminations per match, I feel unfortunately we're not going to see
DRS, bro, that DRS.
The grand finals yet again this year, like we saw S2G do previously. So really unfortunate for them. Again, Furia, I would rate them higher than IHC from what I've seen in this year. I don't know what's going on within their squad either. I know you touched on it a little bit, Hot Jukes, but they are just not being able to hit their stride in this event. And I don't know what it is. Maybe we can ask Seven to go talk to them. Because we haven't really heard much from Furia and see like what is going on within the team because they are just not playing like the team we know they can. I mean, even kind of similar to Alter Ego as well as they're kind of hovering around that 12th level.
Nhiều lũ về ngay tôi này ha.
Yeah, I mean at this point you're gonna definitely have to start thinking about things differently, right, Max? Because I mean, let's be real. If you're Furia and you're
is Exxon top.
There, it would require you winning like almost every single game for the rest of the day to be kind of in that running.
PMGC India team ano ma'am. Ay. Kista nom. Alter ego po antel ni mo yes omlo. Tia god light an kill velo invite ka an ni ve in ka si A7 antel velo. Nge god light te lo sai. India this one tel phar le hina tu na this one. Oh.
Just like what IHC said during the interview with Seven, right? Oh, we're going to start playing more aggressive today. I've not seen that, but that is the play you need to do. You need to start like just balling out on these games, getting 5 eliminations minimum in these games. If you see a team and it's a good position to fight, just send it. Don't try and play overly passive. We saw IHC on the Sanhok too, right, Jukes? Just not being willing to go for that big rotation and hoping that the circle's not going to be too mean to them. But the circle does not care about your feelings. The circle is going to be as mean as it possibly can be. So just send it center if you can, and just get a in. Like literally, just hold down your position like it's an absolute 4, and hopefully it'll work out. But as of right now, I still really think it's too late, Hodrix.
Ah, say trouble.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but again,
S7 an kill do. Yellow group antel. Kill ve cha game reverse beam. Cha ma nuwa mo tang.
Gaming with a little bit of a report on the stage about Tiamba. So let's go ahead and check in with the man of the moment.
Leran kit chang ha ve. E pa boy a kill ve thin. Ma se tiang ve hen local ta dei ni hi. Ti ven sa thai long mo. A kill ven sa thai.
And he told me that it was actually the prep. They don't feel like they were able to prep enough for some of these teams because the research for some of those teams was a lot harder. Hopefully, though, after 2 days played, they'll be able to just go back to the VAR review and adjust because they're currently in 10th place. It's not looking good for them. Back to you guys.
Yeah. Back to you guys. But name App Store omlo. Mo tang. PUBG World Cup. Unvec anh em. Dream Place. But hem PMGC khel ve ta la tu nge team coach tan I duang. Ha ka hello ka ngai tu phak team lo. Ka ngai tu chin lo. Sar eng team nge itran ve. Tu John Falcon hui ka tran na ma sai ka bai sen pa lo tat mai. India tel se John view san nga le có thằng English à hiền mo nuôi khát về cho tiếng lệ bảy thế này India team khel se John nuôi khát á tiếng Anh India team khel se
That would be Kalaris, but yeah.
But yeah, it's been rough times, and I kind of like this actually because I feel like for the longest time in Pubg Mobile, it's always been Chinese teams are the best in the world, and there was definitely a time when that was true. Looking back at Nova winning 2 PMGCs in a row, but like every region has really caught up.
India hiện anh khel phave to don to em cái nào lại khá chú India anh bên lâu hun na à xe lang Falcon hi chú STE lại khan anh traveling cái gì tôi nào bọn nó trả lo mà lại tôi chuẩn là khel chết trang chú ông về lâu thế đâu ta anh non khel sẽ về lệ về này hi
And you have all these different metas, right? It's not like years ago.
A begin is Falcon hui mo Falcon ho player hi top fragran lang thế tục
Very center focused. Group red always playing edge. Wait, how the hell do you want us to adapt to this global scene?
ti tu ken tel vem ti tu ke chu tel lo group dang ani mai thai
Struggle for them. I think that Tiamba right now what they should focus on is at least surviving.
group dang ani ko ring ti tu ke ho ju
And then you'll have that.
anh dung lo ko dung suai
For the teams that are going to play there, of course, you've got group green that you'll be looking at also, so that's even better for them technically. So just survive to the survival stage, and then you'll have the time to do the prep that you feel like you didn't have time to do in the first place.
I mean, let's be real. I mean, they're not that far away, right? I mean, what do they have, like 71 points right now? Top 3 is 106. So, I mean, one good game here, they could be in that show for top 3. So, I mean, if Tiamba can hopefully, you know, make it happen. I mean, we heard from Seven, right? They've had 2 days by now, right? So they definitely should be adjusted to these squads. So there's still plenty of time for them to get in top 3, but they got to start performing. And the reason why I'm really stressing that now more than ever is because we saw in Group Yellow just how toxic things get towards the last day, right? So you don't want to wait until then to really need like a crazy amount of points. So if they could pop off here, I mean, they'll be right there to be able to really make it in top 3.
I mean, as you're talking about, right, you don't want to wait to that last day to have to pop off. You don't want to be forced to beat
A7 an champion ring em
how the game can go here. But as you did mention, there's
Hello,
71 points, 10th place. It's
S7 hậu trụ cả MTL tại sẽ khanin top 3 về đánh lằng thầy là tụi nó inconsistent champion sĩ là in top 3 về đánh consistent.
PMGC Grand Finals. It's just about having those couple of good games and hitting a level of consistency here. Inarguably one of the toughest lobbies.
Mình do PUBG player hem PMGC thằng akil thầy tụi skills nghề anh ông không sĩ tăng ra lại là skill sẵn nó là cho nên tâm mà sẽ game sense IQ à cho tụi nào để cho nên ông lâu
kind of should have that mentality to go to top 3, right? Not saying that it's really going to happen, but like they need a win here. Like I'm as much as I would love to see them put up like 5 eliminations, you know, a game, whatever, they need like a 15 elimination chicken dinner to get them out of this hole at this point because
Japan appeang kaya na osal de ju Korea lom Korea direction cham down.
Because I mean, look who's in that running. It's TJB, Falcons, you know, Nigma Galaxy, I8 going crazy. I mean, in one game, these guys can go off too. So, like, man, I really need to see that from IHC. I want to get to see them in that mentality of, like, man, we have to win in order to survive, period.
Maybe just, you can also go another direction on that, is just forget about top 3, top 11, just trying to get these big games. I feel like we have teams at the bottom here, like Fury and Aichi, we mentioned them a few times already, Duke, are seemingly a bit scared to engage or to rotate into strong positions because they're avoiding conflict. At least that's what I've been witnessing throughout these games. And I would just say try and get yourself a good game, which I know is very easy to say as an analyst. Like, just try harder. Just feel like it's a double point day.
Here and
yeah, exactly. But like,
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's PMGC, we can't afford mistakes, but everyone does mistakes. Even IWNRX makes mistakes. Enigma Galaxy, I8, Navi, everyone does. So you, at some point, just
4MV and Charlo.
plays and try and make something happen for yourself. Because if you're idle, like we've seen so far from a few of those bottom teams,
tụi nó team khéo cho team Charlo trong lâu PMGC League khéo thì ở team Char player Char cái này cái tiếng gì hắn nên ván đuôi ván đuôi rồi Paul te khéo sẽ Paul te hắn ông lâu thế là chuyện ta cho nên cái tiếng gì hắn nên chân sang lên à day for group ấy giả thế này ông cái sẽ lâu à cho nên thì hắn day for thế hắn khéo là cho kami hắn nên teamถ้ามี group sang sang rằng hắn nên team สมปรุกอันทั้งช่วงข้ามีทีมสมปรุกแต่ข้านี่อันเขียนเลยโดนก็เชียดดันแต่ถ้าสวนไม่เทบอกก็เชียดสวนจุกอะไรแค่แบบหรอเดี๋ยวสังเกตเพลย์มั้ยasal te chumo Korea ami anni hi cái pick in kan hunga tournament aom in nghe ya cái NV an khe yeah dire so hi GT20 Pro an mang cho zel dire so hi Nepal ani drop athe Nepal lampang anin ka she Nepal nge Pakistan nge vai lampang chun ni mother jut ti velan dre
I'll tell you what, in this last game, everybody was playing Edge, and it wasn't their choice. Yeah, it wasn't their choice at all.
Top 3 in grand final and win down.
Either way, I mean, you know, that's what I'm saying is like certain teams realize, like, yeah, you know what, this rotation to center is going to be too difficult. So let's just focus on just wiping teams out on the edge, put some eliminations on the board because that's how you win championships, right? You got to put 5 to 6 points a game if you get a bad zone, and then when you get the circle, you got to put up a 20-point
win,
right?
Yellow group
I mean, at a certain point, you got to just decide, hey, 5 points?
Top 3 player.
You got to go for the big game.
I think sometimes, or you can just be, you know, your IWNRX, your Enigma Galaxy, your I8, and they do that in eliminations almost per game. Yeah. It's like, yeah, we're just going to cruise by, we're just going to always be in top 3. And that's why currently the top 3, top 4 has changed very little throughout this group for Group Red, is because they keep getting those eliminations. So sure, Falcons, Gets a Roy, TJB, Tiamba, they can get sometimes these big games, but when the top 4 is so damn consistent on the elimination front of things, it makes it so hard to breach that top 3, top 4 situation. So you're just hoping one of those teams falters at the end if you want to make in top 3, but as of right now, that doesn't seem to be the case.
speaking of consistency, one of the most consistent things about these shows is the awesome commentary by the two gentlemen going to be taken away here on Arengel, John Allen and Blake.
Really nice to us just then. I'm a big fan. Let's keep that up. Let's keep that going. Let's get that to be one of the most consistent things of the PMGC Group Red, because we're getting underway with match number 15.
Playing path from the eastern side over
Yellow
towards
top
the
figure.
west on Quarry. Nicer playing path than we saw on our last game as we head into match 3 of Erangel. And yeah, Jason was quite nice to us, which is always nice. I think
overall ranking.
You hit him up with the old
Top 3 hi yellow hi pakhan hi team spirit an ye panhina DRX pathumna A7 ni hi.
That's an anime thing, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Yes. Let's go. One Piece mention. Max Man going off right now.
Come on, Falcon, we can do it.
From the Pubg over towards the west coast, so again fairly nice and easy for our teams to get down to the ground. Hopefully no casualties to be seen, but never say never. We saw IWNRX with some crazy hot drop on the previous game, previous day rather, early on.
We can do it, we can do it.
Doesn't look like we're going to see that here.
Yeah, this is a little bit easier for teams to move on down towards. I think right now, like the boys on the desk were saying, there are going to be some Hail Marys required going into match 3. We have 9 games remaining, 10 including this one, which is always going to be rough for some squads because now you have to risk it all. And it's very difficult right now, especially because this is the first time we're seeing in groups at least a bit more of a point sponge towards the top side of the lobby, and very, very equal tallies towards 8th downwards. So you see 78 points right now for Getso Roy, with 14th being with 63. This is all changeable in one match. One match is all it requires for some of our teams down towards going home scenarios to get into going to survival stage.
Triple S, figure out which seat you're going to sit in. Come on, be reasonable. Stop jumping about. Take you back over to Rosok. And then you'll have to deal with Getso Roy. And how would you like that? I don't think you like that very much. Goodness me. Worst sort of passenger, you know? Can't keep still. Furia, over in Yasna and Polyana.
Yasna joined the split on
this area. This time though with Na'Vi, not with Virtus Pro.
Yeah, and I think for Na'Vi, it's much easier for them over towards Yaz. This is where they're usually dropping, rather than Mini Milta down towards that south side. This is where they prefer to drop. They actually don't loot here for a very long time though, which I always find very curious, honestly. Typically, they'll have a very cursory loot in this area, though to be fair, from looking what some of these players have on board, they seem to be already fairly well looted. But they tend to...
Guys, man, Christmas borok.
It's not massively necessary to scout out too far. I think a lot more teams have been studying the circles as well, where Mansion
Christmas borok vezu to ma
a little bit more open, allowing Na'Vi to make some of those rotates out there. But this time around, you got Team Queso towards the south, and Alter Ego taking up more presence on Mansion as well as the Lalhnemzova. Pretty basic split. A lot of times, if you drop Lalhnemzova, you do want to have 2 outposts on that western side, which is what Alter Ego's doing with Alva as well as Rosemary.
No, it's the hectic.
I know what's happening off in the distance. So if you are playing in a 4-man squad at home, yeah, try this out.
To get a little bit better every day. That's all you've got to do. Beat yourself from yesterday. A life lesson from John Allen and Black. There you go. I'm just thinking back to the last game a little bit, Black. Because Virtus Pro dropped in
top 4 trong top 11 thôi work out and kill.
Virtus Pro were trying to hot drop onto Na'Vi.
I'm not sure. Maybe, possibly. I actually don't know. I think honestly, if you're Virtus Pro, I don't think hot dropping on Na'Vi is the greatest and latest of ideas, but certainly something to go for. Remember, the keyword of the day right now, is the Hail Mary.
Lâu tháng sau là điểm top thôi.
Try and go for some wild
TQPA.
Certainly if you're IHC or Furia, it is Hail Mary time, right? You just got to find something.
Stock nó sao vậy? Thác wall nó sao vậy?
I think not too many teams or players or watchers as well going to be looking at them and thinking, yeah, they're a threat towards the tables right now because they are really doing a little bit worse. Well, a lot of bit worse than the rest of these lobbies. I mean, the fact that TJB and Falcon Force as well were able to keep up based on that last game towards the top side with, sure, they were talking about the consistency at the top of the tables, but a lot of them went down quite early last match. And that did allow TJB and Falcon's Force to get out inside, or well,
inside out
towards the outside of the track. Goodness me, got to get my. But yeah, they are going to have an outside chance to jump up towards those top 3 based on that last game, almost alone.
It's interesting. I mean, you look at the leaderboards right now. I'm sure you guys have noticed already. Tongjubao and Falcons though off that last game, nicely done. 94 points and 96, opening up that lead a little bit, allowing more teams to make their way through. And this has happened quite frequently through Group Red, where some of our top teams, that performance has died out a little bit, allowing some of our other teams to catch up somewhat. I think for Tongjubao, this is a team that absolutely is gunning for a top 3. Seven was talking about preparation. Honestly, for the Chinese region, they have so many games, and it is a really rigorous schedule that they have to go through on their side. And the games they have to play. So getting ready for some of these international tournaments is always sometimes a little difficult. But adaptation is something that can happen quite quickly for a strong team like this.
Getting pushed off the high ground here. IWNRX moving them aside over towards Potato Hill. Lily is very unlikely to get back up here, but it's possible. I mean, the callbacks damage from Frozen. Good news for IWNRX, adding points to their tally early on. First blood is drawn.
Though for one Elam. For IWNRX, they're not going to get a lot of those back. Southwest edge. Now, I think that what they assumed was there was a ton more players behind this hilltop that they would be throwing nades over towards, but realistically, Lily was just that forward vanguard, playing as a somewhat of a scout role. So for IWNRX, I think they'll be pretty unhappy of how that panned out, because as we all know, grenades are hugely important in this game. You want to have a big tally of those on board at any point, and there was no way to replenish.
The value of grenades, obviously, you can throw them in clearer areas to stay in cover whilst also doing a lot of damage and getting information fed back your way. Stepping up though, Zed Wolf, he don't need no cover. He just goes for the cover of the barrel of his gun. Sends it that way. Vengeance lose a second.
And they're looking for more on the tally as well. So the rest of Vengeance are sent away, down to just the 2 players now. And IWNRX carved themselves up a nice bit of space down towards this south side. They'll get the death crate as well. So I think what they were thinking right now is that we really want to loot that crate from Lily. But we also want a little bit more value out of this to steal some more utility away to replenish some of our supplies. So it makes sense that they get a bit more aggressive on this push over towards them as Vengeance look to roll out. And it's good timing on it as well just before the circle pop, because you know these players are going to be getting into vehicles to make their next rotation forward. And that next rotation is far towards the north side. It is a real hard shift over towards Severity Way as well as shooting range. And I don't think a lot of teams were prepared for it.
TJB set up in the compound in the center of this big north shift.
TJB.
Nice and safe for them. Nick the Galaxy, Falcon's Force, I think that's probably one of the more dangerous areas of this crossing, but Falcon's Force managed to get through nice and quickly and straight up towards Getso Roy.
And GXO here in the win kachuan on top fashion la. In compadong yes invite the zong here lo an nei ve and point in perfect thầy and lan in you see hello we show point it hold I see again but defending champion về anh khéo sẽ có mày performance anh này đâu có mày tuân trùng hi I think
I do feel bad for them. I don't think this is a bad team. I think they have good squad mates on side. They come from a region that is very aggressive, and also, if you are from that region in general, you are made in fire, essentially, forged in the flames of combat in Brazil. So I think for Furia, they are a strong team, and they've had to deal with some of the craziest players in the world in terms of being aggressive and mechanical skill. So I don't think that Furia's a bad team. I just think that they've had a bad hand of it here over in Group Red. They're playing into squads who are very tactically minded. And they are getting caught off a fair few times. Some of their fights just aren't going their way with unexpected third parties coming through. Do lose Lemon on the approach to Alter Ego, which is not great.
It's a pretty heavy hit to them. Alter Ego looking like they just get across that road and out of the way now. Yeah, they didn't quite have the speed to get Navi in there before Alter Ego could lay claim to it. A nice win on that trade. You see Rosemary picks up that point. Very valuable position for Alter Ego. You can see they're sending players out to scout the surrounding hills as well. They know they can't just get into this spot and try and play from there. There is still the rest of the game to go because we're only in stage 2 and they're a little bit towards the edge, so it's unlikely that they're going to be in the circles for in 2 stages time.
This next circle is going to be an interesting one. I don't like that one. Yeah, do not like this circle whatsoever. I don't think a lot of players like this circle either, to be honest with you, with Yaz Lake cutting out a lot of that on the worst part about it though is preventing those rotates from coming through in this mid game, because that's going to get cut out by blue very shortly. And yes, right now in stage 2, stage 3, it's a possibility to make those rotates through, but that's a decision that you have to confirm on. So a lot of your other rotates are going to come through on the Roslock bridges as well as Yaz West Bridge. It's difficult. I think this is more of a game where it's a case of pick a spot. If it's good, play off the back of it. If it's bad, you're going to have to make some difficult choices in the future.
The team I'm looking at right now in terms of a strong potential position is IWNRX Blank. They were hard on the southeast side, and that was before a pretty nasty spot for them to be in. But given this circle, they can move up towards the hill that sits to the west of that god compound overlooking Yasnaya Fields, and potentially have a massive stronghold on the southeast edge. They've already got 2 elims. It's going to be so difficult for teams to break through to their location. I feel like IWNRX could be onto a good game. The difficulty, of course, is if it shifts to that northwest side. But as you said, just like the other teams, it's kind of a coin flip at this point as to which side of the river you go for. And having a brilliantly strong position on one side is better than having a weak positions to both.
You just want to take a spot that you can play out for the rest of the game. And sure, IWNRX are quite close to that edge side, but yeah, they have control over teams that are coming through. I quite like it is incredibly dangerous, but I respect it nonetheless. They're playing that bridge crossing. I think they're on the bank sides as well. And this does give them the opportunity to move over towards that north and south side. The difficulty comes where teams start crossing in droves. But I think most teams right now on this circle, they have to make it back towards some of the positions they scouted earlier. They have to move away from that a lot of teams try to get into early on. It's fairly safe. Damn, that's some nasty shots from Longs.
A double roll-up as well coming on through. Getso Roy, Virtus Pro. Actually, it's a triple roll-up, yes, technically. TJB going to stop in their tracks. They see managed to take some shots over this way, and Malo is the next to go down to them.
Nice. Tuan teknik kawan coba.
Through from GK, they're able to take Virtus Pro down. They were caught in the mix of 3 teams all rolling.
That's what you
were talking about. Blank teams are just going to have to go for the something from earlier, but everybody had the same idea in this instance.
There's no easy choice a lot of times in these circles where you're backtracking. Obviously, a lot of teams would have wanted to take those compounds that start a little bit over towards that northwest side, which is now where a lot of teams want to see a quick rollout here to try and take control of that plateau on that northern edge. I think sticking around here for too long might be bad for business, but at the very least, they can try and control some area. I think their worry is that a lot of these Eastern teams will have sightlines over towards them if they try to take some fights with some of the teams coming through from that southern side. But yeah, I definitely have high hopes for Falcons in this game.
IHC. Not seeing that aggression that was promised. You know, maybe circle dependent, maybe, but it's not really been the case so far. Certainly not been winning. If they
okay, I'll check up my IHC hobo.
They go for a long wrap around out in the blue. It is stage 4, so it's survivable, but it's going to start to hurt now, especially once this circle closes on up. So they need to be quick and take an aggressive fight. Unfortunately, TJB still has a barrier to break. Falcons Force spotting IWNRX as they try and make their push up towards that river, but there is a little bit of a response. However, it's going both ways. A crash onto their position, a knock over towards top. Falcons Force is staying very healthy. IWNRX going down to 1 player here. Just Zedwolf, a potential roll up from Team Queso as well off in the distance. As Zedwolf goes down, top spot once again, take it out early, and the roll up can be rebuffed once more by Falcons Force.
I actually don't mind this. I didn't expect them to go for this, but this is a very aggressive hold on the southern bridge, playing underneath it as well. This is typically a position you want to take if you are heading to the backside, but it certainly can be played earlier. They know that, again, a lot of teams are going to struggle to make the rotate on that northeast side. There's going to be a lot of teams coming from Sanhok over towards this bridge. So they can extract a lot of value out of this, and then probably get into the late game fairly cleanly, just because there is limited teams on this south side to challenge them on this one. So yeah, actually, I respect the decision to go for this play. And already finding 1 knock on Elim over towards Team Queso puts them at a 3 from Fury. Get away from this gas station, please.
I just love the sight of them just all hopping about like some kind of devilish whack-a-mole to display to Tiamba that they've got the nades, they've got the ordnance to rebuff them. It was fairly comical for Furia, but they do maintain position, and that is going to be pretty valuable. Team Queso actually find a shot over towards Falcons on the south side in the meantime. TJB, yeah, they spotted IHC out on that west edge. Ziol trying to make it work for them, but nades from 676 back up from Triple S. Goes up with the UMP, but in rolls the UAZ, and immediately Triple S puts it to sleep. Just 1 player now left standing for IHC. Off in the distance,
IHC là one kill to heavy one coin.
This is one of these situations where you need to have plans going forward on the circles like this, where it gets a little bit tough in the sense that you know some difficult situations are going to come through in the future. We've already seen a fair few teams.
Cái season nó bị học viên đằng âm lâu mình là cái trang hiện tích kiểu lâu viên đằng ta cái cao thi set.
Puncher going down is not ideal. 6 last player remaining. They did get a couple of really good shots over towards Tiamba, but with oversight from Fury there, that push from Na'Vi was always going to be difficult.
Falcon. Any low. Na'Vi jo on hold ng low ni. Mission game.
Bao right now also really happy with this shift. And remember, it's Falcons Force and Bao.
Yo.
Managed to get across the river, and it's made the Falcons Force position so much weaker, but Team Queso maybe looking to move away from it instead. See if they can get on past. We'll have to wait and see if Falcons Force are allowed to extract. But for Bao, with IWNRX down, in an isolated position on the west side, if they can get rid of Enigma Galaxy, this is a big opportunity.
And Enigma Galaxy regroups. They tried to take a ton of space. It was greedy. It was really greedy, in fact, to head over towards that western side. But it was equally well played from Bao to realize where those players were coming from and then shut them down as they made that entry. Because there was that possibility for Enigma Galaxy to go unchecked as they breached that ridge side. But with Bao already finishing a lot of fights off towards that east, they could put a lot of attention down towards that south side. Bao is a clean finisher. Over on those fights, they do not wait around for them to finish. They are quick to the chase, just like this, finding an extra 2 eliminations in the back pocket. Yeah, wonderful stuff right now from Bao. 2 players down though, and it is Triple S and Longs left remaining, but with
Triple S Zolteron lang về tất mấy Zolteron chạy turu tất mấy.
Now Bao can go for a quick reset.
Lan thứ cái này hè. Đây luôn cái landing sẽ. Mà thế nào việc phải làm cả về là sắp thấy đó na.
very careful with Incilio having a little bit of a nosy over their way. ASI8 Blank, by the way, they are still alive. 4 elims playing on this eastern side. They took a knock there, and that's on IQ. So these two players you can see in the buggy, they're moving up to try and get the res. He's a lot further north than they are, and potentially that's the position they were going for anyway. That's only going to hurry things up. However, that does allow Falcons Force to play on with 2 and be uncontested on their lead from the bridge. They're not in the circle, but they have a little bit more freedom.
With them going down to 2 quite early on, the fact they've been able to remain up and standing with 6 eliminations is good. They're continuing on that chase, which is very nice. Tiamba comes up against Alter Ego in 12th right now. Team overtake them into 11th place. So Alter Ego not in the strongest of positions. In the
drive by
Alva off in the distance, and that fight is just not being put up by this squad. Looks like it's going to be a low elim game, low point game in general.
Tiamba position jo ron nei thado. Aja he oi left for hen ron develop hai. An party hal shada ni himalaya. Abatlan kura bakat chila entry var on nei thave. Oh no, nei na shed. Chila last man.
Inevitable here, and that is going to be the last of them going down. Tiamba, they had a good attempt at that first push against Alter Ego, but Furia, too much for them to bear.
Yeah, it's a really strong rollout from Furia. I don't think Tiamba expected it with how safe the guys from Furia for them to explode out of locale like that whilst Tiamba was trying to get the refresh on loot coming through from Alter Ego. It was a very unexpected play, like I say, and I think Tiamba just wasn't quite ready for it. So they go down in a game where they could have got a lot more points off the back of this one. And this starts one of the few strong matches for Fury. We've seen them in a couple of ending circles now already today, and some of that playstyle we see over in their region starting to come back a little bit now.
Enigma Galaxy still in with 3 on the south side. They've been playing the Roshot bridge.
Enigma Galaxy.
The strength that Falcons Force were able to have on the bridge out to the east. Unfortunately, the zone didn't keep them in. Enigma Galaxy, they were a little bit more fortunate with that circle shift, keeping that bridge position in.
On the
west, they have the hill out to their east to play up towards. Get so Roy.
Face okay in boost sangai, face okay in boost sangai to kata ding koi thei ni to lo.
They're really out in the cold on this one. Sorry, Furia really out in the cold on this one.
A wall crossing.
Kasai mo face okay in nuai angai to kata ding koi kong ziom lo.
Knock over towards Furia. That's good. There is a ton of sight lines available though.
So
for team trying to poke up to take shots over towards Furia. They are getting shot at by the other teams who are taking that opportunity for themselves as well. So that's allowed Furia to get slightly further into this game. They did lose 1 player for it. FaZe though going for something very aggressive. Big
Boom.
Good one heads forward over towards Gusta. He steps back.
FaZe how chon hual ne la mai. Le fa son on boga. Mbita pathum an khel boga. Boom. Run drive by.
Actually doesn't even want to wait that long. He's scouting out, he's moving in with the vehicle, trying to get a swipe through. I mean, maybe you pick up a player, but you certainly get information. You know,
kal don, kalo lampa kal do. Le fa son pakhat chiam bu
I
so.
don't think so. I feel like this is the fight that they just have to take. Victorious is going to try and hound them down, and Mormon's ready to receive.
Nice.
They crash on the back of FaZe, and that might be catastrophic for them. They do manage to take the knock. They're already on their way. The fold back needs to come through from FaZe. Pick your player back up, get him back into the circle, because it is going to be stage 6. That tick down is too harsh. Into the vehicle, can you find the pack away and get back in? Because you might just lose a player for it. Catches both of them.
It's a hella smart play from FaZe. The fact on Furia, the fact they were able to watch over towards saw none of them in vehicles. Then at that moment, as soon as he leaves away, they all make that surprise maneuver towards the sidelines. Realistically, FaZe thought they had them dead to rights there, but the amount of smokes that were in play for both teams limited either side's sightlines. I think having a solo angle that actually really hurts FaZe in that situation. Gets so Roy now even having a peek over towards FaZe, who are now down to 2 players, and a game that could have been massively in their favor. Furia makes one hell of a rotate through no man's land.
Jiabao with a really big potential game on their hands here, Blank, because they were already up to those 80 limbs. Look at those standings. Currently, Na'Vi, they are dead level. The tiebreaker going to Na'Vi, but the placements for TJB haven't been added on yet.
Oh, face and
Galaxy could be going down here and now. Their placements are going to be fairly low. A good opportunity. A roll up from Getso Roy as well to the phase compound. They're shredded down to 2. That's going to make it so much harder, but they're going to give it a good go. That's not going to be good enough there. Finds one on the flank, and it's Mela to try and strafe across. Takes one, but the rest is all up to Getso Roy.
It's already lose on that situation, but yeah, good fight there. Well played on the shotgun with the nade through the door line. You kind of just pre-fire the door there, and there's not much a player can do from inside that location. Tong Jiabao though, yeah, very much top 3. This seems to just be the MO of Tong Jiabao, with some quiet games here and there, followed by massive blinding matches, which really blows the opposition out of the water. Again, that consistency maybe not quite there for Tong Jiabao at the moment, but the speed at which they're able to get those engines rolling, max velocity in these matches.
DJB mi để khiến học đòn khi ba khi
to try and figure out what to do, but unfortunately getting off a cliffside where you have full sight lines for a team that just wants to spray you down, wants to take your spot on the tables, you can't outstrap that. It's impossible. You can outsmart so many things, but you can't outsmart a bullet.
You cannot. No, absolutely. Unless you're psychic, in which case maybe you could use your side powers to stop it in midair. But that is not a part of Pubg Mobile. What is part of Pubg Mobile is this block Tong Jiabao. Again, this was very well set up, and it's very obvious that they've had a similar circle to this before, because where they're playing and the control they've had over that plateau that looks down towards that south side, incredible stuff. Would not be surprised to see Tong Jiabao finish out both of these opposing teams now, as they get this really nice lineup on the western side as we're crunching in towards stage 9. It has just been a great game from start to finish from Tong Jiabao. Yes, they had the circle at start, but their control has been phenomenal. It's been this iron grip over the lobby on the western side. I don't think anyone's really been able to challenge it.
Really well marshaled from the high ground here for Tong Jiabao. Getso Roy, 3 players. Furia with 3 as well.
Left cover
fully control.
Allow me by here in ANV here.
Moment. So a potential difficult maneuver for them once this circle starts to close. This is stage 8. Once this circle closes to its current white circle, it will be straight to the middle. And right now TJB have got the closest to the middle position.
Yeah, look at TJB. This is sort of control on this game. It's been very hard to hold them down. I think they knew the exact angles that teams would be approaching from. They knew the exact fights they needed to take. More presence on this
TJB full squad and
the splits have been pretty damn clear.
Roy, 3-man.
Impact towards that end
Furia, 3-man.
Now looking over towards Furia, even been able to pick themselves up a nice little loot crate on the side as well. Famas in hand for Flower.
Flower. Might a low profile, but the nades certainly not. As Triple S nails it.
1 HP มาเลยที่โดนจริง
Spray down with the Famas still there, but the nade again from Triple S is there to seal.
6 kills ในตอนนี้ flow อะไร
13th found as he gets that flush. Getso Roy trying to mount an offensive now to TJB's position. Really the only thing that could go wrong for them here is
13 kills ในตอน13 finishes.
Kayovsky can do something in this situation, because we've seen some pretty great things from him over his career.
Boom.
Can he make this one work? Getso Roy trying to keep them at bay and actually vying for the center on this spot. So TJB are going to have to.
Oh,ให้ไปเรนknock down. Knock down spot เถอะ
Go on. Oh yeah, it's triple spray down here. I mean, it is set up so well.
ปฐมหลังว่าเซ่กาบรอผู้โดนเซ่ค่ะ phản ui ổng
Again, there's so many times
và
where you see these situations where I'm just like, you just got to make the play. Just make the play, make it happen. I'm really enjoying the fact
ibulumi
that
ba hanok la athang achakatang non reflex tu kha achakatang non ka tu che han reflex le zui la
a lot of these aggressive
chance
pushes,
chu om jok mala
just take it all, bro. You can have it.
4v2.
That's yours.
I mean,
Let's
either
go.
that or they just had that many loot drops, right? That they all got at least 2, which is kind of crazy. But TJB definitely putting some faith in him. Let's get so Roy. They get rid of Koyovsky, and now it's a 4 versus 3. TJB definitely with the center
Nice.
and big nades.
Smoke a hen no om chi vak lo smoke hi chu an mani ti der nan le
7-6 on that one.
an mani smoke blind nan front spot thave aim transfer na samai
To try and leave the driveway, but it's not going to happen. 2 players, 3
TJB in chicken
player more, and it's get
Let's
to Roy
go.
the ball, and Tong Jiabao with another chicken dinner coming through today. This is how you make a bid for the top 3.
Yeah, it's a disgustingly good
okay
game.
thave guys man
26 pointer. I wouldn't be surprised to see them in first place, actually, off the back of this one.
ni heo mày lai sầm sei được bao nhiêu
Might be close, but yeah, that is a
Zual tiêu mày
ridiculously good game
ni
from
heo heo heo
Bao, and a massive bid on day
ni hi zual tiêu
for a top 3 here for Tong Jiabao. Yeah, wonderful performance. And again, this is what I'm talking about, adaptation.
break anh này đó
You
nè
didn't have a lot of time to prepare, but you played 2 days now, you got a good feel of the lobby.
A couple of mid games from our top pack of teams, and immediately the Lions announce they are ready and hungry for those chicken dinners. 2 in a row. TJB.
anh break down guys anh break chui này nghe cái lâu tiếng
Well, this isn't fair, gentlemen. You might ask, why is that not fair, Jason Kaplan, our host here at PMGC? Well, does this mean that the Chinese casters get to eat more chicken now on air?
It's not fair at all. Dude, and
If
then
you guys haven't noticed, they get to eat
giờ giúp cho anh này về đâu rồi này bỏ
every time the Chinese team wins. And
cái này nghe cái lâu tiếng về là
I had fish sticks. What? That's not fair. I want. Oh.
dude, I have been staring outside my door the whole time, dude, just waiting for it to arrive. Still hasn't.
vắt training họ
oh, you know what? Has arrived. TJ
lọc training bị lâu mà
dinners able to get themselves
video hui anh là giờ giúp cho mang thang một túi lệ tại tụi em ấy có một sân tổ ăn chữ và leo lên một túi lệ bắt hẳn là anh ấy để lâu mò thì đủ vắt fellow training rồi cái grand final cái John London thằng flight đó này PP official cái bot evo cho sân ít số đi tìm về thôi em tí số lâu em top anh tên nghe anh lâu top em này sao liên lệ đó này liên lệ giúp mày đó mày back to back chicken dinner hay lóc 8 kills này mà là floor hay là
Won 2 back-to-back chicken dinners and won the whole dang thing.
Damage.
And now it's looking too.
Disagree. It's fine. It worked out. But Flower really have to highlight it. I mean, Blank also highlighted it during
first day à các chuan nói bra anh mà
crazy loadout. Like what? This guy just
cáp
took into
không
1v4
mày
multiple teams in a row at that point. He's got
Brexit boxing career là
more specifically knocked down
hậu em ấy
his position.
reverse cáp là bị leo
I think it was phase 6, phase 7 around like game. He was the one keeping full tab.
bằng par về si hành đền đến khóc mày
Enigma Galaxy can push over into the circle, but he was
Miramar lệ
in check, down in the wall.
Miramar match ni endulo mà
Whatsoever towards the circle. So Flower, he was really strong to just set up this team for a strong late game potential to make sure they don't get backfield. So Flower, sure MVP.
Miramar hi anh lệ dối cả đùa
But more than that, in terms of how much he gave information-wise to his squad and creating so much space in the first place.
Well, another team we're going to have to really talk about here, Hot Jukes. Consider it's one of the 2 teams that we wanted to see a step up, and we finally got to see it. It's your boys Furia, man. They're able to get themselves in a top 3 position, able to get themselves a decent game. I'd say their best game so far of the group stage. And that is a small little inkling to what we could see more out of Furia, but they have to be able to maintain this pace if they want to get into top 11.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this one for 7. You guys ready?
No.
Oh, okay. It's on a very, you're questioning it like, maybe?
That's better.
Right?
Maybe?
I mean, come on. All right, it's good to see them be able to finally make it happen here. And honestly, let's be real, it's the perfect time, right? I mean, if you're going to start, you know, kind of making that, you know, run for that survival stage, it really needed to happen right now. And I'm happy to see Furia put 11 points on the board when they so desperately needed to.
They were listening to the desk, Jukes. They were like, oh, yeah, they say we have to do Hail Mary plays? How about we do just that?
Let's
and
go
actually,
for it. Yeah.
insane fight versus Chiomba, Northeast. They had a really good engage. Third
Look, guys.
Ultrigo versus Chiomba. Ultrigo get eliminated. Chiomba are wounded. Let's send it out of our comfort zone, outside of the gas station, and we can just sweep that side, and that allows us then to transition uphill and reach the late game. So they're taking fights a little bit earlier, proactive in these matches. I'm just hoping, Juice, this is not going to be the only time we see them do a game like that. This is a good change of mentality. It needs to keep going until tomorrow. Please keep these games going.
Yes.
Well, with obviously TJB getting the win, we actually had a lot of teams who
Curious, see you.
For top 3 get some decent results. We can see Navi here in the bottom of the table, IWNRX here. I mean, Virtus Pro, but they weren't really ever contesting top 3, or sorry, IHC I meant. But the fact is, like, when they have bad games, other teams are like, okay, this is an opportunity for us to catch up, and that's why we're seeing it be so close here between a lot of these teams in top 8 that really anyone could just jump up and become the new team in top 3. And I feel like that's going to mean tomorrow it's going to be ridiculous. We're not going to really know our top 3 until that final match. I can't wait until that final match tomorrow.
Oh, me too. I mean, I was getting worried. After game number 1. We saw Navi go crazy, I8, and, you know, even Enigma Galaxy. Alter Ego put up points. I mean, so, like, when you see that happen, I'm like, dang, you know what? This thing could start running out here pretty quickly. But then, all of a sudden, here in this match, you know, we see the top spots go out early. And then all of a sudden, TJB!
You went from 5th to 1st in one game.
TJB จะประคัดหน้าเราหนอมได้ไปเลยท็อปเต้เบอร์เท่า
Madness, by the way. Well, okay. Let me just add a little bit of a negative to the positive. 7 placement points outside of their 4 wins.
Who cares, dude? 4 chicken dinners, baby. Let's go. You take it to the bank. No, I mean, for real, though, that's wild. That is honestly crazy. Out of all the matches they've played, only 7 placement points outside of their wins. But you know what? It's going to show, Max, that the power of that, what I like to call that all-or-nothing play style, right? Going for the major win, and when you don't get it, just put something on the board eliminations-wise. And TJB is sticking to that formula, and it's working out for him.
Yeah, they do this one more time, they're going to be cruising into the grand finals at this point. I mean, they are looking incredible these last few matches. And it's not just, I mean, I think they were looking back at the Quarry game, they had Circle gifted to them on the center. But this game, they were sweeping teams, they were really proactive from start to finish. So this is the game where I'm like, this is a chicken dinner that is so damn impressive. I think they can maintain this kind of results throughout other matches, hopefully. But yeah, on the second page here,
Evo อมละจวน
is still struggling a little bit here.
W ใครป่ะอีจิมไปที่ยูเอ็นไอโอเคละยูเอ็นไอเคลหมูน้ำแฟร์จอกติไม่เนี่ยครับหนังตัวตีเดียมเปลี่ยนชาน้ำโลไม่ใช่ป่ะอันเดียไอ้ไม่ไม่ฟิล์มอะไรจริงกับผู้เล่นไอ้ผู้พูดแล้วเว้ยคิวจะข้าว่าเคลจะเด่นเนี่ยเคลจะจังให้ผมเราให้เราเอลมาราลเดย์ welcome to zero loot เอลมาราลเดย์ zero loot อ่ะ welcome to member เราหล่อมาใช่เจียมบ้าเลยฟัลคอนท็อปทรีเซกระดูปุย NV เขาวันเคลโลมีเคลโล TJB Chinese team อันนี้วางงินก็จะนั่นเองไปปัสสรีนั่นออกมาบักคัมแบ็กจริงไปคัมแบ็กจริงเขาไหม TX เขาโป BMPS สาขานี้อันนั้นคัมแบ็กเขาก็เตียงข้าเลยน้องคัมแบ็กฉลาดไหมกรุ๊ปจะใครจะใจรัว
even a shot at survival stage because Max, man, I mean, we're seeing crazy point jumps from pretty much everybody here on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the big jump off TJB with the back-to-back wins, Furia putting himself realistically with this game back in the race somewhat. Of course, they would need a little bit of a follow-up from that, but this, because I think before this it was what, 20-point difference between 14 and 15, and now they're 20 points away from like top 11 kinda, so that's another good game realistically, and they can be in top 11 for really the first time this entire group stage for them, so that will be a really big improvement. But Hail Mary plays, we said it right just before that game, we need to see some big fights happen early for Furia.
Why my name is Edwin?
I just hope we're going to see that mentality continue throughout the rest of the league stage. If that's the case, I would be happy to see this Furia make it to survival stages. I think they could do decent there, but again, are we going to see just this one big flash in the pan, or are we going to see a continuation of it? That is the big question for the rest of this group.
Yeah, and there's a lot more to discuss. We're not going to do it just yet because we do have to head to a short break. But when we come back, I'm going to bring up the topic of the zone in that last map and how it did play out as well for all these teams. But yeah, we'll head to a short break. We'll get things ready to go for the third half or the last half of the day. And we'll see you.
ai đấy tỏ lo mid khật lệ second mid khật lệ second som đi chung mid anh lo nang ó guys man anh lo nang đây cái nào ó tôi gắn don guys man tôi nghe gắn lâu tiền tôi có 4x one shot tournament triple din ở live ha soi lok tại nó có one increase music video thar hun pui khang ai thà zuai la dar eng zat ngen tran le tre bang angela ma som pare hun pui khang inde copyright velom ka hlau dewa sang sang live sang sang hiện YouTube channel lâu này nhiều mà nên chỉ đăng sang sang
cười này phụ nữ một tên tâm trám vào
tôi mà ăn về sáng sáng chú ta ha rồi lại bị lâu team spirit này hay anh chị năng team spirit hầu top table hầu apa hem federal tank qualify World Cup đang खेल anga in cái gì
Ну не у меня, он на дороге. Я хуй знает, что он там делает. Скорее всего, в барах нет?
Ну я пистолет слышал, такого...
Да, да. Я слышу в амбарах,
Мальба файт.
Я могу подъехать, надо?
Надо.
В амбаре файт.
Надо.
Мы можем идти?
Аджа.
Просто в кипе.
Куда можно подъехать?
Под пиковый туалет Вазик едет. В амбарах я есть, вижу.
А, так они хуярятся в толчке вообще, или что это? Где это было?
Со Скара, да? А, это у меня файт.
Амбар, го.
Давай, я...
Парень, там сольник.
Да там сольник, потому что... Не, прям одну дал, братан.
И у меня еще вот тут.
Vil imo kan document submit a han tre ka ming kha ADWIN an lo temo ka kha nang ma di nang ma tang mi lo edit sak thai ngem EDWIN tur ani mi lo edit sak thai chuanin mi lo ti sak zuai mai o
В амбарах они. Еду.
Где они?
Меня стреляют.
Не спеши, мы едем.
Они меня пушат.
Тила нету.
Team Spirit
А нет, есть.
Человек.
ha tu mi lo ma le
Одно в П, Второй лестница,
О,
походу.
пене.
Ну, лестницу приемет, пацаны.
Я хэшку.
An văn jump chập phê ca chú lệ.
Значит, мы на шелтере, да.
Рок,
Shift. В нас заходите.
Дача, братан.
Reverse không ai dùng tủ nào hơn. Đi nào cũng có xì bảo. Tôi bắt tay hệ nghe ăn. Paruk nó về ăn không?
Двое над нами гребет.
Нокнул. На втором этаже неизвестно.
TFO drive by like and enjoy la.
До тебя неизвестно.
À hay hay rõ.
По пятам еще ног дали.
Phim Kurosin.
Ебать, меня
Nó còn slim về lên ha.
Помогайте, парень. Уйдешь?
Надо уйти.
Panic mi nào.
Меня шелтера нокнули.
Влад, у тебя ног на втором этаже?
Yo. Chắc rằng một nó cái team ta nghe.
Влад, под нас играй.
Да, да, не реса, нет. На ред.
Да вот тут чел. Он без тачки. Он без тачки кого-то. Нет, не его.
Tàn chỗ man. Phân giấy đâu về ba thì.
Нет, вообще бутер. Я не понимаю, его нокнуть?
Ты его в смоках. Ну да. Да. Куда били? Ты двоих добил.
Влад, я тебе дымы даю.
Его тут ластовый в смоках.
Сверху другая команда.
Прошел. Пацаны, у нас на рыжем челы, аккуратно. Найс. Мне пятерок надо, бля, срочно прям. У Влада есть, по сути.
Я тебе
У
скинул.
меня есть, но у меня оранжевая фолка.
Пацаны, рыжие катают. Прям сейчас. Что-то им надо будет делать.
А давайте я съезжу, пока время есть.
Давай.
На, лут оставляю тут.
Булат, все
Можешь
пятерки
смоки
скинь.
раскидать?
Да.
Скинь весь лут в доме и едь.
Ехай.
Подожди, я тачку.
Я еду. Верхний китсон тут. Там не прям.
Phim Kuruzuk này.
Можешь еще смог дать на меня?
Нет смоков.
На мою РБ.
Я сам утяну. Наутал смоки.
Дерево.
Где РБ там?
Тачку села есть.
Дал смоки.
Синяя метка есть еще нас, это чекает, поэтому будь аккуратны. Через окна прострелы есть тут некоторые.
Anh start tổ độ có lỗi bên bóng. Start đầu.
Я не вижу, чтобы уже.
Шелтер будет нас играть.
Я поехал к парням.
Пацаны.
Булата закидывают парни.
Нет, это не меня.
PMGC Live 2024.
Там чел взрывает.
А у нас чел, походу, он думает, это его убить.
Бэшки лут, парни.
А его убили, это ВП над нами. Оранжевый, значит. Да, они убили. Оранжевый ВП.
Пацаны, нужно закрыть вот этот край, синяя метка.
Я думаю, ВП будет потом меня крашить.
Let's start đầu guys man.
Я буду по 20 опять играть.
А может ты отдашь его просто?
Да, не, норм.
А вот этот гриб, он же фришный, где вы нокнулись, зеленый?
Нет, занят. Только что по мне, я же сказал, оттуда стреляют.
151. Mi ra sum ngáp bắt thật tổ tí nào vậy?
Я вижу у РБ.
Gặp một số đó.
Мужики, блядь. Вот тут никого, да?
Вроде нет.
Вы просто так стоите, ебать? Ну ты.
Ну да, я знаю, но вроде там никого.
Lỗi anh có bóng.
3 также у меня.
ReVerseX खेल lại nhỉ? Ấy. Gì đâu bé? Team Spirit thâu खेल lại nhỉ?
Зона, по-моему, вот тут, не? Тут на синий
Кто мне
новый.
скинул? Мне смоки не надо.
Китсона.
Не файда.
ВП фармит нотов. Ноты с шелтера играли.
Nate chúng ngã rem về Nate bari thế này một lại bay.
Вот, я главное не нокнулся.
Я буду под кавером просто делать, верно. Уже едут.
Едут,
У нас слева, да, да.
Влада. Мимо. Заехали в Влада.
Nọc ngạc. Nate drop lại.
Накатывают.
Nate
Его
down.
нокнули. Найс. Где остальные?
За тачками лежат остальные.
Ai nó Nate chiến tục. không phải là thế nào mặc он чула đi
Он давно пикнет.
бля держу я чума луду đi
Второй этаж зашел. Надо всем надо.
Первый этаж есть.
Давай, давай.
clear vào tầng ai
Смотри, второй этаж.
Закидывай сразу.
Давай. Сама дверь.
Манки, модуль на первом, я сейчас второго.
lâu cả chết sao không cả
Прыгнул, нет?
Не, на втором ходил.
Смотри, второй этаж. Смотри, его.
Манки, нажми меня сразу.
Тас.
Убили.
Его убили. УВП минус был.
Флешник вот здесь играет еще за деревом.
Rất tí Tem mà thao strap vào mà là
У нас тут камень есть 100% оранжевый. Я сейчас туда поеду.
Нам
không
просто
bị hình
направо играть.
ra tại hình đi số mà đi
Терпеть за тачками. У нас вот тут вот граунд, по-моему, хороший. Но там гриб не сейф. От гриба не сейф. Тачку отдал же меня? Так,
Опять садись.
А меня можно потом
Флешник?
забрать? Меня потом вот запни.
Да, давай. Итак, выходи.
Куда мы играем?
ồ cái head
флешника раздамажил очень сильно. Но флешник сейчас
ồ
приедет.
nice về
Поехали.
Найс.
Ха, чуле.
Мне надо, ко мне. На меня едут еще. Блять, на меня ауры едут.
dark fusion này ha
Шейк
Ой.
моей перед нами.
Они вот где-то спереди стопнулись, короче.
Я нажал.
Давай. Нет. Откису.
Ауры где-то на
Они
желтых
далеко,
примерно.
они далеко.
Ну, по кому ног? По ВП?
Пацаны, ВП на дороге у нас. Да, их взрывают.
Да.
Я помогаю Манке лево закрывать, право закрывать ауру.
Я тоже вам думаю.
Отдай цепа, включай.
chân sẽ bắt sẽ về 6 mét ta cho
Да.
Aaron down 6 mà là
А,
Гриб видит, Манки, нажми его. Я прыгаю атаковать буду.
Манки.
Ирыка. Давай.
Все, правый вайп, левый вайп, да?
Убил ауру.
Еще 4-3 против гриба, пацаны.
ГГ.
Надо по ВП подъехать.
Парни, я беру
Я
РБ
уже еду.
и налево хочу поехать. Лево
Да,
забрать,
да,
лево
да,
понял.
да.
đã xếp phía này không run down 6 mà là
Ну, сори, сейчас собьют.
грибу 2 чела. На втором.
Отойдите. Так, все четко.
làm thứ
Бля,
hết
чего у
trẻ
нас тут нет?
nice
Они около лестницы, пацаны.
rồi
Ластовый.
Найс.
anh gọi là văn được trở về yeah
Ебать, сколько вы убили?
19.
phát hành IQ về xả là khá chú là what a play man what a play nice
Okay. That's
Ale.
rule of thumb. If they have an MG3 on
Trần lệ
the
tạo đó nó
but MG3, you know, so kind of hard choice.
what a play bro what a play
That's not fair. Your skate can't always be the MG3. What if one of them has an AWM in close range? Go for the quick scope, no scope.
Yes.
No.
Please. Oh my gosh. No. If they have the AWN, I'm automatically their fan. If they have a bolt action in general here at this stage, they have my love and support forever.
Bụi
You know,
mẹ
Pubg,
mẹ
if I
đó
could
ba
remove one item from PUBG Mobile,
Forex
you know what it would be?
cái giọt xuất
The
này
MG3. You know, every time I ever see the MG3 come out, Max always does his little sound of it shooting. And you know, I think I've heard that more than enough in my life.
Yeah, pretty good at it. No, no, that's not how I do. Every time I see the MG3, Jason, it's, oh, the MG3, let's go. And that's the whole segment. I say that every time.
và dùng lo
It's,
livestream là like lâu tê là subscribe lâu tê anh làm chuông please leave a like and don't forget to hit the subscribe button thank you so much
We're about to head into our third and final airing of the day. It's just been all TJB today, man. We want to see some other teams step up, and we're obviously going to have the chance to find out here as we're about to drop into Erangel. And John and Blake, what's your thoughts, man, about TJB and how the leaderboards have played out so far?
I think TJB, MG3 go, and we are ready for the last Erangel of the day.
Very succinct, very good analysis. Respect to all of you for pulling out some wild statistics to back TJB up. But yeah, I think so far TJB have just had this wild improvement between day 1 to day 3, and I think it has just come down to the fact that day 1, I don't think they were quite ready for this lobby. It just shows how good of a team that they actually are, though, considering that you give them 2 days with 16 teams, which is always easier, by the way. When you're playing groups where you're having constant teams swapping back in, you're having to adapt to different rotations every time, but you do get just 12 matches with the same teams over and over again. But again, it does require ridiculous gameplay to be able to be like on day 3, okay, we figured it out. Let's just put up 2 massive chicken dinners to catapult ourselves into first place.
I mean, it's a very unreliable strategy, but it's worked out here, seemingly, for TJB. Yet again, they just last-minute bids.
We'll figure it out.
Tables. I mean, yeah, it's like, we'll do it eventually. Kind of like my opinion that IWNRX will eventually get a chicken dinner this group, right? Right? Maybe. A little bit nerve-wracking now. This west side circle, though, keeps us over towards the Gaka Fields, keeps Everett in, so it's west side rotations on the west.
Sanhok.
Circle, well, we usually see Virtus Pro do kind of well.
Sorry, my bad.
Virtus Pro just have not been performing up to what we expect from them. Team Queso very, very close by to Tongjiabao. Just on the other side of things here in box compound. We'll see what they can get done. Shots are ringing out, but now Tongjiabao knows the distance.
Hello,
losing a player there too. IHC, really not a good way to start out your match 4 here. Currently in 13th place.
Quite connect with the sprays, some damage bound. Team Queso not TJB, and they can get away and try and figure out where else to go. Going out to Taverny, I mean, it's an option potentially, but it's not in the next circle. I'd like to cross down the river. Maybe go. I'm not too sure where TGB go. I mean, Yaznaya is not a terrible option, but I'll have to figure out where they're going to pull up in the meantime. Na'Vi with a little scrap of their own over towards Getso Roy. 2v1 on the inside of this. Backup probably coming fairly soon for both of these two teams. 2 players for Getso Roy. But there comes the backup from Na'Vi. A big nade comes through from Zunda. They can maybe try and chase this down, but flips there to play Guardian. And the backup came through as well, so it's still a 2v2 with the down player here. The res could potentially come on in as well. They're wary of these step outs.
Like Osar. Yes, thank you.
Protection pushes in behind the wall. The upstairs push from the down player, and Na'Vi can get the res.
Yeah, massively important fight here for Na'Vi. They know they want to keep these players up. They were so close to staying in that top 3. The Getso Roy, on the other hand, still hounding them. 0 eliminations for Na'Vi so far. Good amount of damage from Flip, though. Zunda. That's through the window, I think, as well, so that's a nice shot.
Backup comes through from Getso Roy, and Lemon's down. 3 players all around him. I don't think Puncher can hold this one off now. The healing not quite there for Na'Vi, and these early game fights, damage sticks, Blank, like glue. Not too sure about that drop down, but there's Pit 6 peeks in through the window. Puncher as well. They look to try and take control of the ground floor and the top floor of this house. But through the windowsill, it's still a big challenge. 2 players for Na'Vi. It's so unfortunate.
1v1 thì nó nằm đồn về.
The sirens are blaring outside of my window, and maybe Na'Vi need them.
Kan bakal zero. Di ka nam lo nè ha. No not lepas em. Pas na.
But it'll keep them in this game for a little bit longer. Playing as 2 is never fun, especially from minute 4. But yeah, I think if they can get
top 3 turin point in zat nghe.
More placement points.
Irin.
Too unhappy with that one. They just need to maintain this level playing field for themselves, get towards that 115 points.
Hello, bera.
So in the future,
Ra som ruk ve chung ai đúng không? Ra som sợi ve.
Top 3 because it is still very close towards that top side of the lobby.
Certainly is. It's closer. Well, at both bubbles, it is incredibly close, Blank, and the volatility still remains. We saw it over in Group Yellow. We thought that might be just a symptom of the teams in that lobby, but it seems like it's just this PMGC overall, and it goes back to what you were saying. Every single team here is a competitor in the truest sense of the word, and this competition is one of the highest quality PMGCs I think we've ever seen. It's phenomenal to bear witness to it. IWNRX want that top spot back. Maybe they'll be able to purloin a point or 2 from Alter Ego, but no. Return tail, they get out of there.
Delhi bootcamp ino lai khai ngai. Delhi tak chu ka ngai lo. TR kha ka ngai.
On that south side, moving upwards, Alter Ego managed to get themselves out of that situation into the warehouses. It'll do for now.
Rotation up pakhat no chan yo.
Future rotations. It doesn't feel good losing that one player early on though. Limits you force as a team overall, and you have to rely a little bit more over towards those third parties if and when they come through. Our other squads though that are notables is Enigma Galaxy down towards Gatka, still rotating in from that edge of the map. And with this going over,
ma chon DMR te kan mang na stream ni tu ma kha chon ma se tu chon DBS aron lar lu to ga shotgun
in the PMGC group stages. And I'd like to see that one. Might give some more of our teams a chance, as we haven't really seen this side of the circle been picked up too often in our games.
Vengeance on the road. Trying to maintain stability in the middle of the pack right now. 8th place.
The top 3 team more.
Stage is a really good goal for this team.
Alpha 7.
Definitely had their wobble.
Falcon la pakati chu kala shalo.
They got the chicken dinner yesterday on Miramar. They can maintain the lead on that pack towards the lower end of the tables. They'll be happy. Had another shot into those survival stages, but the survival stages, I mean, given the quality of teams that we're seeing, are going to be so
split la.
Really, really nerve-wracking for teams in that central block from 4th down to 11th. Sure, you get another chance, but it is such a slim chance when the other teams
Face
are so powerful.
Mela.
Really looking forward to the survival stage.
Yeah, it's going to be massively competitive as a survival stage. It's scary for a fair few of our squads to make it in. Here comes Falcons crossing on that eastern area, actually starting in Nova Noise, so going back to basics, way back when this team played under Stalwart. Even further back from when they played under Stalwart, actually. They did switch up some of their drop spots later on, but yeah, back to basics essentially for the squad. But a bit of a long rotate for them. I don't think they're too unhappy about it. Pubg, one of the few teams that plays on this north side,
guys,
in North George.
Hemi zo chu kada en chak view nang en tori lo meng o choi te ka du don si zana match in low in ready te ka du don si mo zana banga.
But yeah, they were right to immediately get away. They knew that there was a spot available for them in Severny, which always is open. They could have just looted up more freely.
ASI8 on the north side of Quarry. Moving out to the west point of it. Trying to figure out their path into the future. IHC split across the top of Everest. Holding all of it right now. With Godless down towards Hospital as well.
Pot kadong e pot chowdon. Pot chow ve tong kring. Pot chow de.
Do have quite a lot of ground under control. This is a really nasty
Falcon ho yan an change kring. On rotate dan to. Rozok lampang chang hen rotate se fo dan e.
I'm wondering what Furia are going to do. Do they hold that north side? It's not unlikely that he goes up north, but there's a lot of water as well.
Yeah, massive amount of water out towards the western side of Georgia, Paul, which isn't ideal for a lot of our squads. I don't. This is one of the. I would have preferred the circle to head a little bit further down towards the south side. I think he could.
4MV ho yan on ten zuk kring. Ten zuk veng. Yes, I kai that top my thars nga.
You have to just.
Thars at tan cheve le ha.
Over towards North George or crates and apartments.
Oh, and down le.
None of the situations are ideal.
And tan chan sa chale chi.
Or you could play over towards that eastern side and pray that you can play off the back of some high ground to work with.
Tan chiet mấy đâu chuan chân sống tờ lo. Đi hold thế chân tu shan. Live don em zan á. Zan match live là. Các cái lâu lên live mấy thế này. Live flow mấy thế này.
Does take a little bit of damage, but should be safe on the high ground for now. Their move along the west side, contested, losing a player. But as close as everything is, 2 eliminations could be a big difference maker for ASI8.
Cái live đầu chuan game ý kan khel lo na mo. Game ý nó live ka ring.
Still terribly close though for all these teams. That third place spot seems to be one that's most hard fought over at the moment with IW and RX. Wow. Streaking ahead now, 122 points and 117.
Oh.
I want to see a little bit more from ASI8, but they are in a slightly difficult scenario down towards the southwest side of the map, still making their crossing on the western roads. It's always a difficulty when you get a northern.
Navi hozuk pakat chelo dam le do.
With ASI who are very firm on playing down towards the southern side of the map, even when they get playing paths that go slightly
in fight done.
Top
table
against IWNRX. This is a big fight. Two strong teams, and IWNRX are about to prove their
action and down that may. I see a ma I see a net today don't I?
And over the top the nades will flow. Falcons force IWNRX. Combat now along the rocky crags. Healing needing to come through from Frozen. Looks like he's got that first aid off. But no knocks sent either way just yet.
I see, come on.
And IWNRX both on 4 players.
Hello, took one XP.
Eats a lot of damage from a nade. Has to back off
almost fully
there. Up and behind allows his team to take over the tussle. And in through the smoke, the nade is found as well. Follow up over towards Zedwolf is great. Kane not really able to do too much now from the backlines, and Falcons force in control.
Oh, hello.
Icy steps in.
I see push lang ai right khai ve nang ai. Right ve ro lu. Oh, to ba down ve le. Isa down ve le.
As well as East, this is going terribly wrong for the Falcons. Get a step up in the front lines for IWNRX, and now it is easy to try and close this out with Swain slightly further back.
Oh, tiền ba lon chou ve le, an nu chang, an zong ai. An down ve le. Oh, last man standing. Avanon jump shot chou ve long last stone em. Rất xấu đầu ta. Tán trên hang nghe ai see. Oh, là pick bal zui. Anh vẫn on third party for về.
9 points there. That is massive from Tianba.
It's depressing for IWNRX actually. I mean,
Commentator sao bọn ngồi ăn ngồi top mày.
Potentially got the 4. I think that still would have been a likely full reset for the boys on Falcons, but again for Falcons that's even worse for them. They knew that they would have had a great game off the back of that one, and Tiamba being able to come in from the eastern side and get a huge nade like that off instantly ends the fight, by the way. Yeah, man, that's unfortunate. But Tiamba also really needs this. They need this to stay in the
third party
for
về
a 90-point game. Not 90-point game here, but 90 points on the leaderboard after this game. They will feel much safer going into the final 2
DJB here on kills will learn them pakat na nan loma.
That's gotta feel good for Tiamba as well. You throw a nade, it goes bang, and you just see on your screen those lovely red letters, 3 eliminations. You're like, what? Hang on a minute. That's great news. Goodness me. Oh, TJB, they're into the crates. South George will be our terminal destination.
Which is definitely nicer for our squads here. I think heading over further towards that northern side is just going to cause problems for teams where you're unsure where you want to go. But this kind of securing yourself down towards that south side means that a lot more squads can have potential at a good game.
Ayun na so even set to ne.
Which is fairly decent from where they came
from. Guys, man.
To be able to get themselves into a position like this, still with 4 players as well. This might be time for Enigma Galaxy to step up once more, as they're already finding some good shots over towards Vengeance.
How so hello lu so like how step pan here so motor safe lo si angle tam si look pala in revive donin agge pa tam le si on push do ne on push se zo nghe ngay kill kan mo zawang oh nei pop mày bật đi down. Face sau nó lút pay về đấy, chỉ là để hàng face sau nó lút pay về đấy, chỉ là nó thôi à.
Good stuff for them over on the season side. I mean, you definitely wanted to take advantage of what was going on for Vengeance there. It was a good timing to get in.
Oh, head.
One of the few positions that is still left on the southeast side.
Smoke cái trong nó cọp cho về cái bao nhiêu.
Oh, actually surprised he hit that shot, but well done through the smoke. HC though, nice spot for them in apartments. Is this
on spot cho em về một lời.
In group red?
Could it be? I mean, they took a nice fast rotate
from
Everest, right? They were the team that was where the fight between Falcons Force and IWNRX were. They went so quickly as soon as that north circle popped in towards the bridge area of South George.
phim kurva in chung a chau ha lo on nei do na
Yeah, they've been making some
zong na sam mai
taking advantage of a lot of the fights that are going around the map, and it's something that Enigma Galaxy has always been quite good at, is identifying like when those gaps form in the circle. They don't form for very long, but those opportunities when they come, Enigma Galaxy is quick to take up on the chase on them, and that's realistically down to the call coming through from Ralph as well as assists from the rest of the team. So again, like I was saying earlier, they've had a massive improvement when it comes to IGLing as well as just cohesion within the team, because yes, the IGL can make a call, but it's not all down to the IGL a lot of times. It's 60 up against Furia. 2 players for Furia still remaining.
Nei dan nga thei dro ngai nom lo ta jon lon chau thei nei da nei lom se jon tlu do nei ha 1v1 situation. Oi, net bounced that way.
That was so close.
It really was. That was actually a very nice throw coming through from Dixie. That could have been one of the nicest nades we see here in Group Red. I wonder if just going out in the water. I don't know what else he's going to really get done here other than just kind of chilling in the back lines.
You managed to pick up some more nades from that crate. Go on.
Oh, nade ala nei wala lui. Ruang atang ala.
I meant to say ankle.
Light work, baby.
That's one of the sillier fights that we've had.
Nade okay.
Just not wanting to look at one another to see who can get that nade first, and Pixie's unable to find it in the end. Pubg Mobile currently in crates over on the season side.
DJB floor around gel puilet hey do them. Match masa 7 kills ngai 8 on na.
And well played to them as well for the fact that they've been able to maintain a lot of vehicles here by tucking them away inside the crates. One is smoking, but quite a few of them now are
DJB donks.
It's one of the difficulties of this location that there's not a huge amount of spots to actually.
Tiếng khá đi từ gì cắt mày đấy từ gì nào. Ôi mẹ face game reload. Cái face game John comment chưa thấy đâu mà. Cái face game lại giúp mày đó mày hay last cycle tên này đó. Face game lại nó còn last cycle. Miramar cái chắc xin là chạy đâu in Miramar cái đó mình là. Mà sẽ first match sẽ खेल mình đó là chạy đâu á cái anh John. Connect thêm. Connect thấy tao lâu hay. Ai connect thấy chứ. DJB. Tira top table om jo chalo voi nan khel check up mai point chete ba na score low.
I don't think that they're finding
IW explorers the very way
in towards those crates with some crazy sight lines all over the place. Noise goes down. I think Mella's already made the decision to send out towards that western side and try and play the cliff face. It's the smart decision they could go for here, especially when they're right on the bubble at the moment.
Face Mela.
1 point ahead of Team Queso 174, at risk of dropping into the bottom 5.
Oh, Mudone. Navi last man.
Proportions, man. 20 elims, 43% contribution. Needs to get picked up by a team, dude.
Oh wow, a big shade to face. Goodness me, but you're right. I feel like he definitely has been a massive factor in this roster. The numbers bear it out, and he has a bright future ahead of him. I'm hoping to see a lot more from him.
Yeah, me too. I'm not no shade to face, honestly. I just think that the current team he's on, he is just outshining a lot of the other players on that squad. I don't know. Maybe the rest of the squad just needs a little bit more time. I know that the other players are good. I know Mormon's a strong player. Bonzen's been around for quite some time as well. It's just Mella who's doing the lion's share of the work, though.
Yeah, that's kind of undeniable. They did finish 6th back in their respective qualification region back in Southeast Asia. So in general, they didn't have the strongest of results either. They did come through their league stage second place.
TJB again.
That really didn't come back to aid them in those finals. They only got one chicken dinner. So definitely seeming like a little bit of a middle pack table stuffer from FaZe as a team right now, but with Mela, if you can unleash him, right, that is where you find that value, and hopefully FaZe can figure out how to do that.
Let's
take a look at the other side of the map now.
Ego
sat down towards that southwest side. I think most teams right now are figuring out where they want to play this one going forward. I don't think Enigma Galaxy actually has one of the strongest positions over on this eastern edge. It is really difficult playing from this spot, but your main focus is sort of clearing out the teams coming in through on that northeast side outside of crates. So this is where Enigma Galaxy needs to pop off a little bit.
Anh nhìn fight lúc ngay lâu ra ô ta sa ta apa ya sih lừa chứ là anh ta đón về TJB khi tay là không hề gắn đồ tệ đằng lang rồi này xí đâu à đâu này thà sao mất này đó boom đã thiết gì
going fairly low. Mela finally down. Told you about nades today have been fairly unreal, honestly.
Floor to 1 kills. And then pick up.
I'm on cooking them as well. Yeah, it's been pretty awesome to watch. Mela down. I think they're likely going to try and get a refresh on some of the loot here. So whether or not they know Ventoras is in the wings. Another strong player coming through from FaZe.
Chiến tới Winter Sanhok.
First break catches Longs. Flower is still on the beachhead. Longs will not get back to it. An isolated player now. Enigma Galaxy, could they read into this? Could they know it's getting crazy? The nades from the high ground. Tongjibao need to find another big nade. Hits the water, goes around the edge. The blue zone's there.
TJB hậu chuẩn tỷ số đâu này.
And across the beach, TJB trying to make their approach to this circle. 676.
Không tao đâu bro. Tuy hợp đầu khu.
It's likely he's going to leave on the blue zone, but he's already ahead of it. Ventora's out in the water. As soon as that nade goes in, he knows that he's not going to be there. Sorry, Tianba looking for a cross, and they roll straight into the barrels of Alter Ego, but only losing one on the approach means danger for Alter Ego. Fortunately, up on the wall, they've got Boysil to handle Tianba on their roll through. The way is Alter Ego hold the south.
Yeah, Tianba had a really limited decision to go for. Enigma Galaxy over towards Team Queso right now. Nice nade kind of thrown very casually by Redox as he passes by this shack. That was very cool.
Nade lụt chuan.
Move up towards the window and we'll get shut down, but now Snowix needs to support the rest of his squad.
Cúc về về. Lụt đón em. Aman môi và ngay thiếm về. Lu bỏ cả chỗ là văn này thì mất rồi à.
To stay alive for Team Queso, 2 players, and remember they have now just pushed out FaZe into that 12th place.
Nên pick lại thế đó nè. Flow đó luôn vậy. Hello, knock về đấy chứ, Navi mi bay. Kaya.
Some of these other players on this eastern side. Actually, one of the few to remain healthy and living over on this north edge. And the circle still holds.
Few remain.
For an even higher placing. And with only 19 players left in the lobby, it is predictable that quite a few teams will be going down soon. You can see Enigma Galaxy 1 player, Tongjibao 2, Na'Vi 1, Falcons 1, Team Queso.
I see bot full squad in la dame. Come on. 1 kill still name mà say.
It's IHC. 1 elimination so far.
Nice.
Central circle team that starts to flex.
Falcon pa po la dame I see po. I see luôn tôi rất tough to và
expose yourself to as many angles in these built up finishes. Which means that going in towards stage 7, that's where you expect to see the numbers start to rise.
I see ni tay la khuyên ang kalang. Guys, di ka lang ngai tu về mấy đồ I see ni tay la solo nga tam to ta ni. Cool. Guess this one om ta. Dia ka lu phèn.
For IHC
Trebles cái này ngang em.
It has to be a gigantic win for them. And at this rate, with the limited amount of eliminations they've been able to pick up, they've just got to hope that where they're currently playing, and they can pick up 6 to 7 eliminations there. At least them
0.1
one or two really strong games tomorrow might see them into survival stage. At the moment, if they don't get the chicken dinner, we're still kind of just counting them out from making it in.
ASIA.
That's finger. Smoke up, mate.
Edge of this area. The next building they need to strike towards, a little bit difficult to access right now with Team Queso on the off angle, with Alter Ego as well down those alleyway sightlines. A little bit less of an impact. You can see how difficult it is to make.
I see down ka chuan 0.1 poka tam mama minus 0.1 ang yan. A chance na ikaw.
Yeah, 6 can definitely live this game out, which is really nice.
3, 4, 5, 6.
The circle allows it. That's the only reason.
6 points na ito. DJB ho yung comeback ro ko ay jo.
He'll be super lucky to get
the ball chicken dinner
on the circle. But for Na'Vi, 6 knows just how much getting a top 5 would mean to them as a team. Just needs to survive a little bit longer. They actually take a knock in the center. Of all the teams that could have happened to, they have a pretty wide split on the hold right now, and I think coming into stage 8, there is going to be some very quick movements. IHC are going to have to be on the ball, and during that shift, already they're happy to send a player out from one of those outposts just to get that res off. I think it was a very bad time to be peeking.
I think in general, though, Rogue was very likely going to have to regroup here anyway, with the players on the west side likely going to try and take that building from them.
IHC on chicken thing and full squad in the dama. Guys, man.
Too early, or trying to get ahead of that rotate. However, that res IHC are back at full.
Pubg Mobile, that's a smart move from them. Heading over towards the buildings on that north side.
Wasn't
really going to challenge
them.
This is a complicated sentence. We'll now be watching 6 for his move.
Chế đủ to miệng là một cái phần này là sẽ tiền sẽ cho nó mình là chế đủ to miệng là.
Prepared for it for a while. The crossfire from TJB as he tries to step up, and it's Triple S to take 6 down. Quattro, 14 Queso. The last player on their side to stay alive, out in the blue zone, and it's going to take him away. Longer. IHC still does 4 in a 2-2.
Navi pahala thilo mi. I
think 2-2s go out really relatively quickly against one another. So
2-2 and split up.
As well as Team Queso out. ASA still running. Still making it happen over on this south side. Again, a team that had a long way to go. They are very good at finding these openings. Similar to Enigma Galaxy, though, they really fell apart on their push over towards Team Queso. Felt a little bit messy, honestly. And now Ralph is in a tricky scenario.
Waiting to pre-fire that door. There to cover him off visually. Ralph actually trying to go for another angle. A shot over towards the north side, but it is just going to be the play zone.
Okay, zone.
Out of the mix. ASI 8 now can push on up towards the top 3 with this game. The only team really to be able to do so. In fact, definitely the only team to be able to do so off the back of their performance here. With the placements that they have yet to earn, I think they will jump up over Enigma Galaxy. Even on those healing points. And they are still alive. Not so true for the team. IWNRX even safe from this one because they went down.
Ito doon si Chem. Love si nice. Ay, molotov at lang loot pal.
Only 2 players to play with. Zjol has to hold face. They're on this 2-2 split flank, so it is essentially a protracted 2-2, and I think this is the right choice, right? Just regroup, play the middle.
Yeah, it's still unreal.
Regroup si patinan po sa.
Still in this game with 7 eliminations.
Nice move.
Like from the spot they're in, they can push forward. It's going to be ASI.
Nice. Come on. Open it up.
Like this could cause
boom.
For the 2 players making their
nice.
way
Masan chang lao.
on the back lines.
Let it up.
And that is a
lot of damage
by Alter Ego on the outside.
Nice.
Any placements upwards for IH for they're happy with.
Oh, no, cap. Oh, 1 HP. Thi dong, ni da ha.
IHC taking shots out towards the window, and that nade
IHC
goes on in.
versus
TJB to take another
TJB
point
versus
here. Elims. Two players from TJB
Furia.
now looking to move in on the ground floor. A high nade up from Furia. The rooftops
Furia.
across from them. Not
TJB
isolated
pakatan
enough. They're going to have to drop down. Danger abound as Demo steps out the window, gets that peek beautifully. And able to hold off TJB for a moment longer. But there's still one more player to go.
Hey!
DBS on the outside.
Nice try, nice try.
Done. And Furia, the last to stand in the way. IHC, only 5 eliminations, but a chicken dinner could
5,
be
6,
the
7.
start for them to try and turn things around.
17 points.
To find it here, a 7 elim chicken dinner were to give them 17 points and put them in an outside chance of jumping up to
2
that
versus
final
4.
stage. Furia,
Let's go.
they're kind of in the middle now though, and IHC with Demo and Ziol need to worry.
Nice.
They go across the wall.
Wan pakat chiam to.
Steps in. Furia goes down first.
FP đâu la, FPP đâu la. Cái hơi buổi vác làm FPP à.
IHC are up to it.
Yeah, he's lost in the spot. He had no idea where he was.
Anh lòm. Anh lòm về ngắn mày. Bật tung table à. Anh đâu mà. 17. Bình thường cài chậu nó về thăm cho mấy thế này hả chú?
Long journey ahead of them to get into a survival stage and a firm position to do it in. But first game, it'll do the trick. They have 2 Miramars after this and tomorrow to make it happen, and with a lot of our teams still stumbling around that 11th place barrier.
Cái hit cho cái A đón nghe. Miramar cái end đón nghe live. Cho cái A đậu cho đến trung ương cận lệ đó là.
The team who won PMGC last year had a decent showing.
Comeback hôn về chứ. Nặc tu cái lom, nặc tu bao lom come on. I see.
Make the right decisions, Max. I'll let you go into that. Obviously turned it into a game-winning match for them.
I was really scared.
IHC. IHC.
They just absolutely love Everest.
đã gặp thông tin này.
They love it to bits, and they send that super early. Yeah, it's the best location.
IHC. IHC. Guys man. Đủ to để phát mẹ ngồi hay. Miramar kala en cha kala live cha view nào in. Trời thế cái ngay dàn lắm bằng hiện in cái live dong en dong lâu cái sẽ là cái live lâu point. Cái mi custom room anh khéo na. Cái mi CMI no. Cái mi dâu BGMI tiền sao sula aron lang mấy. Cái ngay lâu en đủ chuan in ta chuan in anh khéo đó na. Chuan với entire live lâu en tu te le member mi lâu join tu te mi lâu donate tu like share subscribe tu te mi lâu support tu ten survive chung à lo ma chuan cho tui tôi in lâu a chok đó này ô chuan in sana hay cái live đó đó lâu cái chiang lâu à cái này mình lại chok đó này live set cần chill lại rồi
And you didn't see a pop-off celebration, right? Because they know, like, all right, yeah, it's about time, you know? And that's a terrible feeling to have in their situation. I'm glad they got this win, regardless of whether you want to make the, conversation about they left circle or whatever, right? They just needed it. They needed something to go their way. It finally did. But is this just a start, right? Or is it just, a one-time thing, right?
You look at the Fury right there, the great previous game, they followed it up with a second place here on this game. So they definitely have built a bit of momentum. We're just hoping to see the same thing out of IHC.
Okay, me. Iru ani chuan mu mei ro. Nge iru ani chuan. PMGC WatchParty lo yes. Ilan nong vai on di tau la. Morgan Kamisa. Nin cái gì hay rồi thì bên nin cái gì. Ở đây. Giờ vai in choi tui. Vai qua đây. Let's go boom bam.
Falcons, yes, we're gonna survive, but
Let's get this reset and then.